Welcome to Gen X Adulting. And today we have Marlon with us. Welcome to the studio, Marlon.
Thank you for having me.
We're
It's
so
great to
happy
be
to
here.
have you here. Our first question is always, what year were you born?
I was born in the year 1973.
So you are Gen X.
Yes, and very proud to be one.
Nice. So where were you born?
Trinidad and Tobago,
Okay.
the island, the Caribbean island, Trinidad and Tobago.
So those are two separate islands, though, just for people who don't understand. How would you explain? Because people say Trinidad and Tobago, but how would you describe?
Tobago is the smaller island. By plane, it's 15 minutes away off. It's an island off of Trinidad.
Okay. So how big would you say Trinidad is?
I that I don't know.
Okay, but it's like how many? Do you have average how many people live on Trinidad?
1.3, 1.4.
Oh wow! And then Tobago, how many?
Much smaller, 50, 60,000.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
okay. And then which island were you born on?
Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Yes.
So is there a main city on Trinidad?
There's a lot of the capital of Trinidad is a place called Port of Spain.
Okay.
That's where the main everything goes on.
And is there a skyline, like tall buildings and a downtown and all that?
That's in Port of Spain where the high rises are and most of the businesses happen. So yes.
Okay. And were your parents from there?
Yes. I'm trying to think. Yes.
And
In the sense of my grandparents came on my dad's side came from India,
okay.
and my mom's side was one of the original Trinidad people. There were two original Trinidad people, the Caribs and the Arawaks. If you've ever seen the movie Apocalypto,
Mm-hmm.
it's the like Amazonian people. My
Mhm.
mom was an Arawak, her family.
Wow.
So my grandmother came as an indentured laborer,
Okay.
and she, had my dad, and then so my roots
Wow.
go scattered all over the place.
Hmm.
So how did they meet?
I guess my dad was a teacher, and my mom, I guess, I don't know, was just a hot. I never really. I know I have pictures of them, but I never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a teacher. So do you know what age he taught?
He was an elementary school teacher.
Okay. And do you know how old they were when they met?
I know she was 16 because she had me when she was 19.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. So was that at that time? I mean, we're talking 1973. Was that normal on Trinidad for girls to get married at 16?
What was not normal was my mom is what they call a red woman because she's mixed like that, and my dad is more of a Hindu looking
Okay.
guy. And back in those days, the mingling and the mixing of the people was not as common as it is today. So that leads into another story of how uncommon that was. And when they got together, a lot of people did not like it.
Interesting.
So would it have been your dad's side of the family that would have looked down on your mom's side of
Yes.
the family, or
Yes.
reverse? So it's your
Yes.
dad's side of the family. So was it almost like they were racist?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
So the island has its own
Yes.
racism.
Because if you know, in, I want to say Hindu, I'm not sure. There's a class system
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
from the head to the feet, and dependent, like my last name is Rampasad, it depends where your family line goes to, how you're treated. But
Interesting.
because if you look at my hair or look at me, I don't really look full Hindu. I was the clearly out of place Hindu boy in the Hindu family. So yes, there was.
So were they racist towards you
Yes.
from the start?
Yes.
So did
'Cause I
you?
was the firstborn, so yes.
Okay. So did you spend any time with them, like with family gatherings or anything
I
like
was
that?
always placed like at the back. In Hindus, when they have like ceremonies, they give out food. I was always fed last. I was pushed to the side. Yes.
That is so interesting. So when you're saying Hindu for our listeners, would it be more picturing they look like Indian?
Yes.
And
I
then
don't want to get the confusion of Indian as an American Indian. You know what I mean?
yes. Yes.
Well,
So
it feels like they brought the caste system to,
yes,
yeah,
because they were indentured laborers, and
yeah.
you would know indentured laborers, they're not like slaves where they chose to come to work.
Hmm.
So they thought they were slightly better than
Okay.
okay.
it
But
started.
then for your mom, she was right from the start in
Right.
Trinidad.
Right.
So they were viewed more what, like tribal
Yes.
almost?
Yes.
Okay. And so the Hindu came over and looked down on the people that
Right.
are
Or
from there
was my dad the
essentially.
teacher hanging out with this high school?
Yeah. Cuz so how old was he?
I honestly don't know.
But older
Yes.
than her.
Yes.
So because he loved her obviously. I mean there's the answer right
They stayed
there.
together until
How long were they together?
I think 40 years until he passed away.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
All right. Is she still alive?
Yes.
All right. Do you get to see her very often?
If last time I was in Trinidad was probably 10 years ago. I talk to her every day, but
Yeah. And then do you have siblings?
I have 2 younger brothers.
And what's the spacing between the age spacing?
We're all 6 years apart. So my middle is 6 years, and the last one 12 years.
Okay. And were they treated the same way as you by your dad's family?
By that time, we had moved on and moved out. The problem was when the relationship started, there were 4 houses on the same lot of land. So
Mhm.
we were next to my grandmother.
On your dad's side or your mom's
Yes,
side?
on my dad's side. So
Okay.
there's a lot of stories in between there. But they pressured us enough that we had to move. They turned off the electricity. They stopped the running water.
Wow.
Yeah,
So they didn't want
no.
you guys on their compound, I
No.
guess.
I have an aunt, and I'm very bold to say this, in Tampa that I don't speak to, because that's my dad's sister, that she was part of that.
And what about cousins?
But the kids had nothing to do with it. I on Facebook, on Instagram, I talk to all the kids.
You're fine with them.
Yeah.
So it's more so I assume you're not in touch with are your grandparents still alive
No.
on this? Okay. So you didn't have a relationship with them?
No.
And did this affect your dad's relationship with them, would you say?
Yes.
So that would
He was very angry, but
of course, I'm sure they became fairly estranged
yes.
over time. So where did they move? Just a different part of Trinidad?
Yes.
And then so you're on this island,
Yes.
but you never saw them, never really did anything with them.
When there was like festivals or stuff happen, you're bound to run into people. But yes.
Okay, and it was more just like,
And I have a lot of cousins. Like I said, there was a lot of land with 4 houses. Some of the cousins were part of it, and some of the cousins weren't part of it. So everything was crazy back in those days.
yeah. So would there be some situations where you might see some family members, but kind of act like you don't even know them?
Exactly.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then could you where they have a sibling who was fine to you and you are straight with them, but then the other sibling was rude, was racist toward you, so you kind of ignore them? Or was it the whole family acted a certain way?
The first thing you said. I
Okay.
still deal with some of my cousins, but some I just don't. Not because I'm angry or anything. It's just
Yeah.
they never brought it up to say sorry, or so why am I bringing it up when you did it?
And did everyone else in the family marry within Hindu and was your dad the only one that quote
No.
unquote stepped out? Okay.
A lot of the cousins, the younger ones, I'm what they call a dogler, which is a mutt in Trinidad. Because as time goes on, everyone started getting mixed up.
Hmm.
But in the earlies, it was frowned upon.
Okay.
Um,
But then you're the next generation. Your
some of the cousins started to look up at my dad because he was paving the way.
Yeah.
And stuff like that happened.
Yeah.
With the 4 houses, in the middle of the 4 houses, that's where we would play soccer or cricket or whatever, and people would talk, and the people that weren't part of what was happening would sit on the side and watch. But as time goes on, you either become part of it or get out the way.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. And I'm sure, like you said, as time goes on, there were other families on the island that were going through
Yeah,
similar things.
Yeah.
So, you just brought up sports. So that just made me think, what were the sports on the island? Was it soccer?
Yeah.
And
we
then,
call it football, but for people,
yes,
soccer.
for Americans.
It's called FIFA
Yeah.
football, but it's soccer.
And then what else would?
Cricket. I played rugby. There's any sport.
Okay,
Basketball, baseball is not really that big of a thing. But they play.
more.
Trinidad's crazy now. They do everything. We've been Americanized now.
Okay, okay. That's so. When you were growing up, it was more like British influence,
Yes,
though.
exactly.
Are the Brits still in charge of?
No.
Okay, so independent.
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago are independent.
Yes.
And when did that happen? Do you know?
1979, I think.
Okay, so all right, you were still a kid.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, we don't.
Eric
need
Williams. Yes.
Okay, so did you go to? How were the schools set up? Was it like K through 12, or did you have how it is in America? Elementary, middle school, high school. Do you know how?
It's elementary, and from elementary till like age 11 or 12, you do an exam, CXC, the Caribbean something exam, and then you go to like a 5-year, 6-year, or 7-year college.
They call it a college.
That's what they called it.
So where we call it middle school and high school,
Yeah,
they on
from like
Trinidad,
13 to like 19, that's what they call college.
they call
Interesting.
college.
Yes.
And then is there college
There's-
on the island, like how we call college?
There's a university that you can further your education after that.
Okay, and it's like University of Trinidad.
University of the West Indies, yes.
All right, and then am I saying it right? Tobago.
Tobago.
Tobago. Do they have a university, or is the university just on Trinidad?
It's just on Trinidad.
And
Is there just one university, or is there?
the big known one? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
now, do they get people coming from?
Trinidad's so small you can drive around the entire island in one day. It's not that big.
Hmm.
Now, do
So-
they get people coming in from other countries
Yes.
to go to school
Yes,
there?
Yes.
And do you know what the drive, other than just living there and having that experience, is there something that school specializes in that would draw someone?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I know Trinidad is the most cosmopolitan and most technological advanced Caribbean island.
Okay.
So Donald Trump has been there.
Yeah.
So-
And then did you go to Tobago as a
Yes.
kid?
I go to Tobago to relax.
And can you describe the differences between the two islands?
Trinidad is known for having a good time, partying. You pull up anywhere where there's music, there's a party going on. Tobago is where you go to, there's the glass bottom boat, there's the coral reef, everything's relaxed, you chill, you sleep. It's like a cruise ship compared to like Trinidad, which is the party boat.
So it's more like resorty.
Yes.
So there's people that probably go on vacation to both islands and have both experiences, right?
Yes,
Like their vacation
People
is
from Trinidad would go to Tobago for a vacation because they're tired of Trinidad.
and to get there, how is it?
It's a boat. You can take a boat, which is longer, or it's like a 15-minute plane ride.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you went to elementary and then what you guys call college?
Yes.
And so you were there until when did you leave Trinidad?
I came to America 2004 Thanksgiving
Okay.
because that was the first time I saw deep frying turkey, and I was like, what is that?
Okay, so 2004. So we're talking, so when you graduated from college, what year would that have been?
1990.
1990.
Don't judge me.
So what did you do after you graduated?
I got in trouble. I was working odd jobs, textile factories. I'm trying to remember, tire shops, and hanging with bad people
Mhm.
because it's not so much you can do back in those days. Until I got into trouble,
What happened?
hanging with the wrong crowd. I'm sitting on the basketball court. The entire court gets surrounded by cops. They scoop up everyone. They're looking. That's how it works. At least in that time, they throw everyone in a cell until they question and they find out what exactly they need to find out. The problem with that is that I was locked up for 2 weeks until they were figuring out what they needed to figure out.
What are they trying to figure
Who
out?
stole what, or what went wrong, or who was involved. And
So something was reported.
yes, and
So
some of the
there's-
guys got arrested. The ones that weren't got released, but I spent 2 weeks waiting for them to figure that out. That's how it works.
So what's prison like there?
Imagine 11 guys in the size of a bathroom, and you take turns closest to the door where the pail is. Don't ask what the pail is. The uh the plastic.
Like like a bucket?
Yes,
Okay, and that's where you go to the bathroom.
yes,
And then the size of a bathroom for real?
yes. There's like, I'm trying to remember. There's two bunk bed type things, single beds,
Okay.
and there's like guys lined up on the ground.
To sleep.
Yes,
You take turns sleeping type of thing.
closest to the bucket. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does a hierarchy develop where
The-
certain
the-
people get the bed?
The meanest in those days, they called it the guy that's called the predator. He sleeps on the, remember the movie Predator?
Yes.
The predator gets the top bunk. Yes,
And so
I remember that because the guy told me that.
okay.
How old were you again? Like
19.
19. Okay. Yeah.
Jeez. So the people you were with, were they part of the scoop or were you put in with guys who were
The people I was with, some of them, yes, they were part of the scoop. The funny thing is, when we were remanded and we walked into the prison, someone shouts out, "Hey, Marlon, does your mom know you're in here?" I go, "What the hell is going on here?"
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Were there other people in there for much worse crimes in that little room?
Since we're getting very in depth in this conversation, I'm playing, but the first night before they figure out anything, you're just put in a cell.
Okay.
And I was placed into the murder wing cell. The first night I was there, I got beat up.
That's-
And it's just how it is.
It had to have been absolutely terrifying. I can't even honestly.
The
'cause-
first night I got beat up, two guys held me down. I got beat up, but it was cool after that.
So it's kind of like an initiation.
Yeah, it's always something like that.
So, and then after 2 weeks, they're like, all right, you're fine. You can leave.
And there's nothing you can do.
And you weren't, so it's not like America where you get a lawyer.
No,
You have rights.
no.
Do you think that's changed or do you think it's still like that over there?
As far as the
No due process.
no, I
It's
don't think
still
that.
no
Yeah,
due
yeah.
process.
So I have a question. Where it is geographically, it's near Venezuela, and I think
We can see a piece of Venezuela from a point in Trinidad. Yes.
Yeah. So what's the predominant culture then? Is it British because it's a British colony, or
Well,
it used to be?
It's
Or
funny that you bring up Venezuela because right now there's an influx of Venezuelans coming to Trinidad where some people don't like that.
yeah.
But it's mostly African and Indian, Hindu people.
Okay. And what's the,
There's Chinese, there's British, but the most people are,
is it, what's the government like? I mean, can you vote like here
yes.
for,
Yes.
is
There
it called a
There was
president?
it's called a prime minister.
Okay.
Like last week, there was just an election and there was a new prime minister, a female, a woman called, trying to remember her name. But anyhow,
But she got voted in.
yes.
And
after-
she's a graduate of the University of West Indies. I looked her up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and this is like 10 years of the previous government. So
Is that the limit? 10 years? Like
no,
we have
no,
4.
No, they could go on as much as they
Really?
want to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even the prime minister can go on.
Yes. They
Like
could
our
go,
president can only
they
do
can
8.
go on.
There's
They-
no term limits. I don't
No,
think.
there is.
No.
Is it pretty corrupt?
Like, I don't want to point fingers. Yes.
Yeah. And do they have how we have a conservative side and liberal side, or is it just corrupt?
They've been playing on the race, thinking that the Indian people, the Hindu people will vote for UNC, I'll call names, and the black people will vote for PNM, which is the political national movement. Anyhow, and they've been playing on people's race, which makes no sense. But
Right. That's interesting.
From what I read, it is a two-party system,
Yes.
and that sounds like those are the two
Yeah,
parties.
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So growing up, were you and your brothers close?
yes,
Even with the 6 years, that's a
Yeah.
decent age, you know. And was your mom a
yeah,
stay-at-home
they
mom?
borrowed all my CDs and my clothes and everything. So yeah, yes.
Well, you're one, the youngest. He's a millennial,
Plus, I was
actually.
working while the last one was still.
And your mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Yes.
Did your dad?
She started
Okay.
doing like private classes, tutoring to help my dad. Kids would come over. there was an extra room in the back of the house where she would homeschool kids after work to help them with their homework. So
Was there a certain subject she was good at that
everything is
uh, so she also had a little bit of a teaching
yeah, she liked doing that. Yeah.
doing that. And then did he continue to teach
Yes.
elementary?
Yes.
And did you guys stay in the same house the
Yes.
whole time
Yes.
once you moved?
Yeah.
You know, and I think you had mentioned something about, was there a fire or?
Yes.
So what happened?
That's part of going back. When we lived in the 4 houses on one lot, remember I told you they cut off the electricity and the water. We
Yes.
had the neighbors throw a hose over so we could get running water to take showers and whatever else.
Oh my goodness.
And as far as the electricity, we had to use lanterns and
Mm.
candles. I'm doing homework with a candle. I'm
Mhm.
reading lyrics to, on a cassette, and back in those days on
Yeah.
candles.
Yeah.
Anyhow, there was a window open, there was a lantern, and the curtain caught on fire, and the entire dresser started to, be on in flames.
Jeez.
I woke up and I picked up the dresser and I threw it out because my baby brother was sleeping.
How old was he?
I don't know, 6 or 7.
Okay.
And I know that because this is another story. We had a musical band where he would recite his poems. We were very close.
Yeah.
We're still very close, but
Yeah. So did the whole house catch on fire because you got that dresser out? It was,
yeah, I threw it out. No,
and you wouldn't have had water to put out a
no,
fire.
no.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So the weather.
I think around that time. I'm trying to remember, but it's around that time when my dad said, something needs to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, okay, we
You
need to get
win.
out of here.
We're
Yeah,
out.
we're out of here.
We're
Like
out.
that
Right.
was too close.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the weather kind of like South Florida where it's warm year round?
Yes.
So you guys without electricity didn't really have to worry about keeping warm from heat, but it was probably horrible when it would get so hot
Yes.
without air conditioning or anything.
There was no.
Well, where it's at, right? It's between like the Atlantic and the
It's
Caribbean.
very hot or very rainy.
Okay.
That's all we have. It's very
yeah,
tropical.
I saw something about is that so that's real. It says like what I read is the first 5 months it's dry.
Right.
The next 7 months it's wet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all we have.
Okay.
So after you were in prison for the 2 weeks and you get out, then what do you do?
I said I need to change my life. This cannot happen again. I started working. I was at a party.
Mhm.
Why I hold back? I played in a punk band. So I'm at this party with nipple rings, with nose rings, with eye rings. And of course I'm the hit of the party. And I see this computer at the back of the party. And I go to the guy, I go, "What's that?" He goes, "That's a computer. You've never seen a computer before?" And I said, "No." And I sat down at the party, learning to move the mouse. And I became friends with the guy. And he said, "Hey, Saturday, we're having a meeting to launch a TV guide. You want to come to it? Here's what we're going to talk about." I took scrapbook paper and 17 magazines and all the magazines from those days. And I made a 4-page magazine. I brought it to the meeting. And the people go, "Who's this guy?" And I got hired to work in newspaper.
That's amazing.
I started in classifieds for people that know what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And after 9 years, I was doing front page and doing anything else.
So you took the magazines, you cut out sections.
I made a magazine. People came with Microsoft printouts and we're here to have a meeting. But I had something to present what it could look like.
And how old were you?
A little after 19, so it had to be like 2021.
And so in your schooling, there were no computers.
No.
So that was your real
No.
first time. That would have been what, like early 90s?
Yeah, 91.
91.
Probably. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's an
91.
amazing story.
I remember it was 91 because that's the party, yeah.
And you were like this punk guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cut
And-
up jeans and a Swatch watch. And I had friends from England that would bring back stuff for me.
Yeah.
And they would, the mohawk and
So that's legit.
right.
It's
Yeah.
coming from England.
Yeah.
Because we were in America trying to copy
Right.
them.
So
Yeah.
And I think you said something like the Lost Boys. If you picture the
Yes.
characters from the
Yes.
Lost Boys,
yes.
that's kind of how
So
you look.
the influence was I wanted to be at that time I wanted to be different, but I just wanted to be creative. But at that young age I wasn't sure what I was trying to be.
But do you feel that you always had something inside of you, a creativity inside of you that needed to come out?
I realized over the years that the freak lives in me.
Mm.
I don't need to walk around like a Christmas tree.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So your way of expressing your creativity when you were younger, which I think is true for a lot of young
Yeah.
adults or adolescents, is outwardly.
Yeah, I was called all sorts of names from colorful to
Yeah.
everything because this is the days where I had uh my whole face pierced before Cisco,
Mm,
before anything. I had aquamarine mohawks, I had blonde hair, and nobody else. But I was influenced by English people.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Like
It,
the Sex
Yeah,
Pistols and all
exactly,
yeah.
that. Yeah,
exactly.
that was it.
No, that's what I was gonna
The
say. There
Clash.
was
Oh
more
yeah,
The Clash.
more
Yeah.
British
yeah,
punk.
yes,
For our listeners, it's
Yeah.
British punk, not American punk.
yes,
Very different.
Which is legit because American punk was
yeah,
We were copying the British.
inspired
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
by British punk. So you're doing that. You show up. Do you have that look when you show up to the meeting, or did you kind of
Those
make it a
days,
little?
no. I was still finding myself.
Okay.
I wasn't, but once I realized I had a certain skill, and I can work, um, I realized I'm not scared of being anything else but me
Yeah.
at an early age.
Yeah.
Which is amazing and a gift because a lot of people go through most of their life trying to figure out who they are. So the fact that you discovered that in your early 20s is a
as
gift.
as pessimistic as this may sound, I realize if that is the last scariest thing, nothing else could be that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So you get this job and they put you in classifieds, which describe for the younger generation, what is a classified? We
It's
know
a
what it is.
just a bunch of lines selling something or promoting something. It's no design. It's a white box with a black border, and it has a headline and some words saying, in those days, VCR for sale,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
The
Yep.
original Craigslist.
Or apartment for
right,
rent. Yeah,
right,
the
Yeah.
original Craigslist. But it
yes,
was in the newspaper, and
yes,
every newspaper there would be the classified
right, and it
section.
was pages of it.
And it
That's
was
how you
page,
bought
yeah.
stuff. It's when we were kids. That's how
Right,
you bought stuff.
right,
I feel like
right.
it was in the back or towards the
Yes,
back. I
Yeah.
can't
yes.
remember. So from classifieds, then where did you move to within the company?
I started hanging out with the photographers, because at that time there were like 13 or 14 different photographers that would come back, and I was amazed how they capture life. I practice photography also, but in those days, I wanted to do more,
Mm-hmm.
and I started mixing with other people just to learn different stuff, and people would give me chances to do stuff. And next thing I'm doing, I should have brought some things to show you. Like ads for like specialty ads for like stores and stuff like that.
Right.
Just creative ads.
So you learned from the photographers, and was there other forms of media?
By hanging with the photographers, I also got to like weasel my way into being in the ads with them taking pictures of me. So
That's
that's
cool.
So then you became a model.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
So yeah, because if they need someone and you're right
Exactly,
there, like why
exactly.
not? And this is all in Trinidad.
Yes,
Were the people you were working with all from Trinidad?
yes,
Okay. So did they become friends as well?
yes.
That's cool. So you had like a community.
What happened was because the newspaper, television, radio building I worked in, once there was a celebrity from any other country coming to Trinidad, a flock of seagulls or
Mm.
anybody, I would get to meet them because this is the news spot.
Wow.
The news has to have the story. So
So who were some of the people that you met?
I met some, I don't remember the girl's name. I met Bollywood stars. I met the flock of seagulls.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember. What's the group that says everybody dance now?
Oh,
Like,
that's
they were
something company. Something company. Like yeah, it's someone someone's
Yeah.
gonna comment what it is. It's like it'll come to me.
everybody
Yeah,
dance
yeah.
now.
But you met them. I know who you're exactly who you're talking about. Were flock of seagulls? Were they nice?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's part of. I tried to get my hair like that, but
Oh,
don't have hair like that.
Yeah, no, that's a whole thing. Do you watch Friends? The
No.
show Friends? Okay, well, there's an episode where one of the characters does his hair like it's pretty funny. Okay, so you're hanging with the photographers. Did you and then you're working in the ad department, I
Yes,
assume?
yes.
And then from there, did that expand? Like did you get into commercials or
Yes,
did
I was
you
doing commercials, and I also started helping lay out like stories in the middle of the newspaper.
Mm.
Uh, Copywriting. I started doing CD reviews for people who know,
Mm.
what a CD
When
is.
CDs came out, that was a big deal for
Right.
all of us.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so it would be like an album review, but instead
Yes,
now it's a
exactly.
CD
Exactly.
review.
I would go to the CD shop. They would give me 10 CDs. I would review it, and it
Would you
was
get to keep the CDs?
yes,
That's cool. It's a
yes,
bonus.
yeah, yeah.
So do you still have all of your CDs?
I still have a bunch of CDs home right now. Yes.
I bet you have a lot of CDs.
Yes. I can send you a picture when I get back home. Yes.
I have a lot of the albums from when I was a kid. I
wish.
kept on all of my 45s. Remember 45s?
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
have a bunch of those. So, okay, so you're working in commercials and then I think you said eventually that led to you working on the cover,
Yeah, the front page.
the
Yeah.
front page.
Which is what taught me about what a real deadline and what real stress is when you're working on something and somebody busts into the room and says that has to change, this has happened, pull that story, this has to go out,
Yeah.
and that has happened more than once. And yeah.
No, that's probably a great skill, an amazing
Yeah.
skill to learn. And were you a reporter? Like, were you going and interviewing people, or were you maybe working with
For
the media?
fun, but no.
Okay, so you were maybe doing the layouts, the media
Yes.
part of it, and everything. Were you using the computer
Yes.
for most of
Yes.
that? So,
I've gone through every edition of the Mac computer from everything, the Power, PC to the one that looked like the helmet, the one that looked
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
flower pot, the one.
Yeah.
so what you learned on that job is priceless. It's people go to university to learn what you learned on that job.
Yes,
So how long did you work?
9 years.
And did you mention something that you would start to get recognized from doing
Yes,
this work?
because I wish I could. I'll send you pictures. I was featured in commercials and newspaper ads, and Trinidad's not that big, and I would be in the arcade playing, and people go, "Hey, hey, hey, that's the guy from the whatever commercial,"
It's cool.
and I go, "No, no, I'm not."
Would they ask for an autograph or?
No.
Okay.
So I started doing. The last ad I did in Trinidad, I was dressed as an alien with a green alien head suit on the beach, where I crashed on the beach, and I was giving the guy information because I really didn't want to be seen anymore.
So you were like going incognito
Yes.
in public in
Yes.
Trinidad 'cause
Y-
you were just tired of people coming
Yes.
up to you. Now, and then after that job, did you get another job in Trinidad?
I worked for 9 years, and I'm not sure what year this was. We saw there was a conference on Miami Beach called Graphics of America,
Mm.
and we come to it, and I love Miami, and it was great. Still working in newspaper. Mariah Carey's people reached out to the radio station and said they would like to do a reality show where two people win tickets and come to a concert, and we filmed the whole event.
In Miami?
It was Atlanta.
Okay.
And I said, "Can I be part of that?" We did it. This is Mariah with the heartbreak time, and she was with the Brats and that time
Yeah.
period. We came back to Miami, and I saw Miami after seeing Graphics of America, but I saw South Beach
Mm.
and all the nice things of South Beach.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm moving to America.
So going to Miami was your first time to America.
Yes.
And then from there you went up to Atlanta and did that job.
Yes.
How was the Mariah Carey job? Can you describe that? Because for a lot of people, that's kind of a once in a lifetime thing right there.
I'm not I will not say I'm a Mariah Carey fan,
hmm
but I became a fan to see someone of that stature, that power, control a crowd, and her voice and everything, her aura. I was like 12 feet away from her because she was surrounded by bodyguards, but you can feel the energy. You can, at least at that time, what she was. I mean, it was remarkable.
What were you doing there for that
On a
gig?
stand with the cameras, like
So you
in
were
the
behind the
middle.
camera.
Yeah.
So were you doing like what you were filming? Was it on the big screens for the
We was
audience?
filming it to take it back to Trinidad to do the reality show.
Oh, okay. So you were getting stock
Yes.
footage
Yeah.
of everything.
They also gave us a black credit card, and they told us, buy whatever you want and do whatever you want. So it was a great experience. Yes.
Oh, I bet. Did you meet her?
No.
Okay.
No.
I want to go back real quick
Sure.
because you had mentioned that you had played in a band.
Yes.
So how old were you when you did that?
That was around the 19, it's probably 19 years old because I played in many bands, but one of the first bands I played in, it was called Ward 29
Mm-hmm.
because the asylum in Trinidad only had 26 wards, and we were the three members that made up the extra wards. A ward was made for each one of us. That was the story
Like
behind it.
like the mental
Yes.
institution. That's
Yes.
very clever.
Yeah.
So there were three of you in that
And
band.
we were told to stop playing white people music. I can say that because it was punk rock music, but being influenced from the Clash and Sex Pistols,
Yeah.
the energy, and even the Police, the groove and the energy of the music. We just wanted to be part of something like that, and we just we just played music. And
And it was the three of you.
yes,
What did you play?
I play bass and guitar.
And
We
your
would change instruments on stage sometimes.
and what would they play? Your other band members.
My brother, who's in
Oh, your brother was in it?
who's the studio drummer right now in Canada. He was a teenager also, but he's 6 years younger than me. The drum set was bigger than him. All you would see is drumsticks.
And then what about the other member?
The other guy,
What did he play?
he played bass and guitar also. He was the singer.
Okay, and he was the singer.
Yes.
And where would you guys play?
All over.
Like in bars?
In the stadium. There's I'm trying to remember. There's this stadiums. It's not like a huge, but it's huge enough.
Like an amphitheater
yes,
kind of?
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And just your band, or would you play like a bunch of bands would be
A bunch
playing
of
there?
bands playing.
So like a kind of mini festival type vibe.
We started up almost like we couldn't afford instruments, so we would warm up, we would open up for the bands, the friends. We would do their sound check and have our little gig going on before
Okay.
until we got our instruments. Yes.
Okay. And then how long were you together doing that?
Probably 3 years.
That's a long time. And then you said you were in other bands. Was that simultaneous at this when you were doing this band, or did
No,
you leave that
That
band?
was our main. We were very happy.
That was the band.
We did songs. There was a song called Burn Genesis Burn. There was a nightclub called Genesis at the time. I'm not sure if it's still there, but it was a big thing where these were the white Trinidad people playing black Trinidad music, not allowing black Trinidad people to go into the club. So we made a song called Burn Genesis Burn.
Wow. I'm gonna follow that one. So white Trinidad people
Uh-huh.
playing black Trinidad music,
Right.
but not letting black Trinidad people come in to
Exactly.
listen.
Exactly.
That's insane.
That's why we call the song Burn Genesis Burn, and that's how we became, I would say, popular. Yes.
It's almost like a rebellious, or
yes.
rebelling against that. And that was in the late 80s, early 90s, if
Yeah,
if
that
I'm
was in
following.
the 80s probably.
That's going on then.
Yes.
Well, and
That's
it's punk too,
crazy.
right? Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
rebellious
yeah. So
punk
that
song.
goes
So
along. So I'm sure that became a little bit of an anthem
yeah.
for some people.
Yes.
Wow, how I'm shocked that was even going. I mean, nowadays.
Trinidad is a beautiful place, but there's things like everywhere that people need to be real about it. And I've said this to my mom recently, where she said something about the new government, and there's parts of the old government joining the new government, and I'll bring it up. There's a black guy joining the Indian people, and I said, Mom, it's not about black or Indian or white. I say, if you're injured and you need blood, do you ask for white blood? Do you ask for, I want brown blood?
Right,
So what are we talking about?
right. So they're still trying to work all that out.
Yeah,
It sounds
they
like
use that
yeah.
in the election, so it's still a thing in Trinidad.
It's still a thing. And what about over on Tobago? Do they have? Is it just still chilling over there? They're
It's
not
still
worried.
chilling.
They're
It's
not
always
worried about
chilling.
anything. They're like,
People could Google it. It's very chilling. Yes.
so there's just like whatever.
Yeah, they very
They
relaxed.
don't. They don't. Okay,
Well,
all right.
just to talk, I was reading about, and it sounds like it's in a state of emergency, almost like a perpetual state of emergency. Trinidad is.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that, but they're supposed to have lifted it, I thought, in April, and it got extended. I thought.
What causes that?
Oh,
Crime?
It almost sounds like corruption. There's crime, but it almost sounds like it feels very corrupt.
It
to
is very
kind of what
corrupt
you're
because
saying.
money is allocated for certain things and nothing happens, and
Yeah.
or they plan to fix. When I was in Trinidad, imagine the general hospital doesn't have lights in the operating room.
That's
Why? Because there's privatized hospitals that they want you to go to, but the general hospital for the normal people that
Yeah.
can't go to the, it's always something like that.
It feels like they brought the caste system with them,
Yes.
and it's still they haven't sorted it out yet
It's a
completely.
bunch of foolishness like that.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
Come
cr-
come carnival time, no one thinks about it and everybody parties.
yeah.
But
and the tourists obviously don't know what's going on. So I would assume that most of the locals make their money from tourism. Is that correct?
there's a big part of it. Yes,
That's a big. And now, is there a drug culture
yes,
that
yes.
that people?
We're close to. I don't want to call countries, but we're close to South America. So yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that something growing up that was common to be partaking
I've
in?
hung out with people. His name, the guy is as black as Flavor Flav, and they call him the Snowman.
Okay, and
You
he
could figure out what he's selling.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the
yeah.
Snowman. Yes,
and he's just known
yes, he's the
for
Snowman.
that's
Yes.
okay. So
Well-
there's definitely
But as a teenager, where this is pre-internet and pre-phones, if you're on your street, you need to know who to be friends with or hang with, or else your life will not be. I can tell you a story very quickly. On my street that I grew up on recently, my mom was walking home, and two guys came out to rob her, and one of the head honchos came out and goes, "No, that's Marlon's mom. Leave her alone."
wow.
Because you don't have to be part of it, but you have to be cool with the people that are in it, or
Mhm.
else.
Yeah. Wow. So there's definitely dangerous
Yes,
areas,
yes,
and I
yes.
assume that the tourists stay in one part, and they don't.
If they
venture-
want tourism to continue, they better take care of the tourists. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, how hard was it for you? I don't know, coming from Trinidad, how hard was it to move here?
As far as moving here, or
Yeah, like how many did
as
you have
far
to,
as adapting to the different
no,
lifestyle.
like just did you have to go as far as moving here literally, like how many hoops did you have to go through just to be able to move
I
to
came
America?
over on an H1 visa, which is a working visa, because I played in a band, a musical band.
Okay.
And as soon as I came, I got my social security and my ID card. I did everything the right way.
Yeah.
And then I filed for my green card. It took years, and I filed for my citizenship. It took 13 years. It was a process. It's a very
And when did you become a citizen?
like 2 years ago.
And was that
Awesome.
a big moment for you?
Yes. Imagine every day going to your mailbox waiting for a piece of paper saying you've been approved
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
And
13 years. My patience is very strong. I'll tell you that.
Now, do you have dual citizenship?
I guess in a way, I'll tell you something about that though. I've gotten a letter in the mail saying you have 30 days to leave.
From here?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait,
Yes.
so-
Why?
Recently?
No, no, no.
Oh.
Yeah, before you became a citizen.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, and we don't have to stay long on this. One of my interviews was sent to Pennsylvania, and I had to go to immigration court because I never showed up. And the judge says, "Stop the record, Homeland. Does he have a girlfriend? Does he have family? Why are you sending it there? Scratch it, start it over." But I got the letter, and that's when I hired a big time lawyer.
Okay.
Um,
And then you were able to stay.
and then I had to start over everything, but they sent it to the right place after.
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. So when you first moved here, you moved to Miami?
I was in Homestead.
Okay. Which, for people who aren't familiar with Florida, that's
That's way down.
Yeah.
It's south of Miami.
south of Miami.
Yes.
Kind of like you're on
Homestead.
your way to the Keys a little
Yes,
bit,
it
right?
is,
I would go
yes,
to the
it
yeah,
is.
right,
very
Yeah.
regular.
right before.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what did you do as a job when you got here, when you first got here?
Well, check this out. I first coming to America, I found a friend that I went to college with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I stayed. I had no place to stay. I didn't know anyone. I found one of my college friends that was one of my best friends, and he
So-
says,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
When you say college, again, reminding everyone that's more high school years.
"Yes,"
Yeah. Okay.
and he said I could come stay by him. So I slept. I pushed this couch up next to the sliding glass, and I slept behind the couch, looking up at the stars every night, saying, "One day, it won't be like this."
Wow.
And for like 6 months, I did not work because I came to America with enough money to relax.
Okay.
And at that time, there was a job on Monster that I applied to, and the guy says, "When can you start?" And I said, "When do you need me to start?" And he says, "Can you start Monday?" And I said, "How much is it paying?" And he says, $10. I said, "Does my experience say it's $10 or is the job $10?" He's like, "How much do you need?" I said 15 to match the lifestyle I was living. And I became very good friends with him.
Good for you,
I can tell you
though.
stories about that
Yeah,
too.
I mean, good for you though for right off the bat being like, I know what I'm worth,
Yeah, yeah.
and setting that standard.
And I worked there for like, I don't know, 6, 8 years until my immigration status got what we talked about earlier.
So where was that located?
That's Bullet Line. That was in North Miami.
And what were you doing?
Imagine I was living down Homestead working in North Miami.
Yeah, yeah. How far
jeez.
was that drive?
I would have to take a bus to the Metro Rail, I think, to get off in Carroll City, pass through some very bad neighborhoods
Yeah.
to get to work. And I can tell you stories about that too. People faking, people robbing people on the buses.
Did
But
they ever try to do anything to you?
I would sit right behind the bus driver with my headphones and my MP3 player,
Mm.
my Sony Discman, and I would just watch. No,
You probably had a vibe about you, like, dude, I'm from I'm from Trinidad. I've
yeah,
seen some things.
I've
Don't
seen
mess.
some things.
Yeah,
Yes,
don't mess with me.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not really. I try to match people's energy.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And with your life experience, you can match almost anyone's energy probably at this
Probably.
point.
If you're nice, I'm nice. If you're not nice, I'm not nice.
Yeah. So how long was it one way just to get to that job?
I don't want to exaggerate. Like 4 hours.
One way?
Yes, ma'am. Remember, buses don't come on time. That's the
Yeah.
first problem.
So what time would you get on the bus?
I don't remember, but I have a notebook home that I could tell you stories about that. I'm very resilient. It doesn't matter because I know life is to change and this will not stay the same. So
Mhm.
nothing stresses me out like that. I'm never stressed like that. I'll just do it. I've done jobs where I got like 3 hours sleep and I had to get back to work, but that's further on in my career.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept my music on and pretend life was a music video.
Mm. So you just kept a positive
Yeah, you have to.
attitude.
I'm not the most positive person, but I know digging yourself deeper in a hole will get you nowhere.
Yeah. So you would get to work after taking hours to get there,
Mhm.
and then work a full day,
Mhm.
and then it would take you just as long to get home.
Or I would work very long overtime to get a lot of money, and then yeah,
So most of your time was
I did that so I can. The same guy that hired me loaned me his car. He
Mm.
says it's fully insured. Don't crash it, but if I crash it, it's okay. Use my car this weekend and find an apartment closer to where we work. And that's what I did. I was working because I knew
So you were able to improve
I
that
moved to North
situation. You
Miami,
moved closer.
where I moved to 125th North Miami between Johnson's and Wales and Barry University. Two very party uh,
Yeah.
energy type place, which is a whole bunch of other stories. But yes.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. So are we still talking the 90s? No, we're talking 2000s.
Yes, 2006, 2008.
Okay. So did you enjoy the Miami lifestyle?
It's a different lifestyle, yes. I got carried away and I almost lost myself
Mm.
because it's constantly wearing faces when you're around certain people, certain parties. I mean, at least at that time. I mean, I guess people still do that, but I did lose myself.
Yeah, I think it's still like that.
I lost myself because there's stories we forgot, but coming to America and seeing 69 cents hamburgers and buying 10 hamburgers and the lifestyle coming from Trinidad, I was overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I did lose myself because I got fat. I wanted everything. Everything is so easy to lose yourself.
So that's interesting. So you were coming from the struggle really in
Right.
Trinidad, and then you get to America, and
And
it feels like such a easy, wonderful existence, and so
And
you
I'll give you a
jumped
quick
in.
example. I can walk my dogs 11, 12, 1, 2, and you will not do that in Trinidad. It's as
Mm,
simple as that.
okay. So you almost felt safe for
I
the
could
first time.
go out at night and and I've done this, get a Slim Jim and a Coke at the corner shop, and it's fine. You will
Hmm.
not do that in Trinidad. Yeah,
Even in some of the bad places in Miami are still better than Trinidad, would you say? In terms of safety? I mean, yeah, that's a loaded
not
question, I
not
guess.
not. I've been in Liberty City, and I was told not in certain parts because I would go there to braid my hair. Because I'm a new person, don't be here when it gets dark.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
The girls who did my hair would tell me
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But so you really
So
you had that safety.
as far as if it's bad, I've seen homemade guns. I've seen a gun that shoots machetes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a crossbow, but there's 3 machetes.
Yeah, it's wild.
They make stuff. I've seen a gun shooting concrete pellets. They make stuff. It's like a BB gun, but it's shooting concrete. That will hurt you.
In Trinidad.
Yes, I've seen a
Yeah.
PVC pipe full with concrete, so it slightly bends when it hits you. A PVC pipe filled with concrete, so it's not as stiff. It has a
Yeah, yeah.
slight half-inch bend, so it will hit you very nice.
You know, it takes a lot of ingenuity to make. It's too bad that they
Yeah.
couldn't center that energy.
It's like being, and no disrespect, I love Trinidad. It's like being in a prison where they make shanks with
Yeah.
anything.
right. But is it gang related? Is it more because
I
they're
think
not
it's the heat, to tell you the truth.
okay?
I've been on public transportation on a public bus, and there's a seat at the back of the bus. But to get to the bus, I need to walk down the aisle. And there's a guy with his knee out blocking me. And I get to him and he looks at me like, and I go, bro, not today. And he looks at you and then he slowly moves it. People,
They challenge you.
yeah,
They're pushing the boundaries to see
right.
who can I get.
Yes.
So okay, to go back then, so you did get arrested. You spent 2 weeks in prison. Were there any other?
Then I spent a month home thinking about my life and how nice it is to go to the bathroom or
Yeah.
look out the window. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But did you have any other encounters with the law or any other risky behavior after that one? So was that taught you
There's
your
just the
lesson?
wrong people. I've been pulled over at least 4 times in America, and I've never had a bad thing. Learning to communicate and be truthful. Just talk. I've never
Yeah.
had problems.
Have you had any accidents
Yes, I've totaled 2 cars in America.
in America?
Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Down here
Yes,
on 95?
getting off the ramp to 95 where a car swings in front of me, and I had to almost go off.
Like off the overpass?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Were you okay after both
Yeah,
of those?
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. So, all right. So you got here, you kind of jumped in with both feet, ate all the McDonald's
I ate
hamburgers,
everything. Ruby Tuesday, everything.
just enjoyed it all,
Everything.
and then experienced the Miami lifestyle, which the way you described it, I think it's still like that. I think it's very, my kids would say facey, very networky, very,
Yeah, there's been
you know,
parties Thursday
clout.
night, Friday night, Saturday night.
yeah.
There was a time when the Katrina hurricane was
Mm.
happening, and in the middle of the apartment, this was my first time. People are bringing out barbecues and beers, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have a hurricane party. And I go,
Yes.
"What is going on here?"
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
I quickly learned, but the first times it was like,
Yeah. Now, did
Yes.
your brothers visit you when you moved to Miami and were living here?
my brother comes sometimes from Canada, because his sister-in-law lives in higher up, close to Orlando. So I go to see him, but
But when you first moved
no,
here,
no.
they stayed in
Everyone's
Trinidad.
scattered. No, yeah.
And so, how long was it till you saw them again after you moved to America?
A long time ago.
That had to have been rough.
Yeah.
And so, were you living on your own in an apartment, or did you? Because I know you lived with
Yeah,
your
yeah,
friend,
yeah.
but then you got your own apartment. Did you date?
Of course I date.
Okay, so you met some ladies.
Of course, it's Miami.
Why he
I
likes
could
it
tell you
here so
stories.
much.
Yeah, the stories.
So you weren't totally lonely.
No.
So you enjoyed. So how long were you in
People
Miami?
are very aggressive in Miami. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But I can tell you stories where I'm at a party trying to hook up with someone. The girl gets up to use the bathroom. Another girl sits on my lap, puts her number in my pocket. This is a long time ago. And yeah,
Okay. So it's very fast life.
yes, it is.
Yes. So you worked there for how long again and lived
8 years probably.
8 years.
Yeah.
And then from there, where did you go?
I had to stop working because my immigration papers got screwed up and I had to go
Right.
to immigration court. So I lost my job. I was in limbo. I had to wait. My lawyer said, if you're going to do something stupid, make sure it's something big. Rob a bank. Don't rob a grocery store. And I had to wait.
Mm.
When I did get back my temporary work permit, I started to work in Hilton down in Miami, Blue Lagoon, behind Miami's airport,
Okay.
which is a whole different world with a
Yeah.
whole bunch of different stories.
So
Oh,
what's
yeah.
going on over there? Tell us
But
about
at that time, I was living in Hollywood.
Okay.
So I would have to take a bus, then the metro rail, then the shuttle to get to
How'd you get to why Hollywood?
I had no place to live, and I messaged a bunch of people and my friends. I was living with my friend who had 2 sons, so I was staying with the kids.
In Hollywood.
Yes.
Okay. So you're living with a friend.
Right. Remember, I lost everything. My immigration went. I lost my car, lost my job. It wasn't lost, but I was in limbo. I had no legal paper to do anything.
Was there a period there before you lived with your friend that you weren't in a apartment or anywhere? Or did you go from the apartment to your friend's house?
No, I was homeless for a little bit.
So where did you sleep?
In one of the band rooms on the drum kit because the couch was too suspect to sleep on. There were bodily fluids that I would not trust on the couch. So
And where was that?
oh, this was in Pembroke Pines.
Okay.
But I was messaging people on an iPod because I didn't even have a phone.
So an iPod.
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
right.
you. And I messaged a whole bunch of people, and my friend said I could come stay with him.
So how long were you homeless for?
I don't know.
Meaning before you were able to
like
live
a month,
with the friend.
like 1 month.
So for a month.
I messaged a whole bunch of people, and I was to the point where I wanted to go back to Trinidad. And my baby brother said, "Marlon, you came to America with a suitcase. You're back to a suitcase. Do it again, but this time do it better." And I said, "Why is my baby brother talking like I'm the baby brother?" And I said, "Okay, let me get my."
Yeah, because you were also inspiring him too.
Yeah.
And so just to be clear, I'm not totally understanding. Before you lived with your friend, you were in a you were living in
I was living North Miami, 125th.
But then when you when you were homeless,
Right.
were you in a building when you lost your apartment before you moved in with your friend? You said you were.
Well, I got evicted, and that's a story too. I broke down the door to get my computer and a bunch of stuff because I wasn't sure what was happening and how they can do that. But, and then I had no place to stay, and I lost all my X Files DVD sets, and
Oh no.
I had a bunch of stuff. It's a different time. And of course, my friends lived in a house in Pembroke Pines where 3 couples lived.
Okay.
But there was a band room in the garage.
Okay.
So they said, "Come stay there."
Okay, so you were there in Pembroke Pines staying with friends.
Yeah, because I also worked with 2 of the guys that worked at the place, Bullet Line, but I lost my job. But they knew what happened there.
Which is wonderful. You had this community to turn to, and then you went and lived with your friend in Hollywood.
Yeah, I couldn't stay in the band room. This is
Yeah,
madness.
yeah. And then you get the job
right
at the behind the
Yes.
airport.
Yes.
And you
While
need to-
living in Hollywood.
while
Yes.
living in Hollywood. So now we're
Staying
back.
in a friend's house close to what's that place called? Whiskey. It's not Whiskey Tango, but it's the Art Circle. I was living walking distance from the Art Circle in Hollywood.
Okay.
I think it's 24th Street.
And then to get to your job near the airport at the
I
Hilton.
would have to walk, then or take the bus, get to the Metro Rail. The Metro Rail, I don't remember where it stops, and then I would have to take another bus and then get the shuttle. Or I would have to go to the airport to get the Hilton shuttle to take me back to Hilton.
And then reverse that to get home.
Yes, but that's where it becomes tricky. And people can look this up. The Metro Rail has to be in West Palm to stop at a certain time. I don't remember if it's 9 or 11. Because I'm because I'm the new guy in Hilton, who do you think got all the shitty shifts?
Yeah.
So I would always work late, but then I can't get the Metro Rail to go back home. So I started going to the airport. The shuttle would take me to the airport, and I would walk around and talk to people, hang out in the airport, not fall asleep
So you would spend your evenings, you
till
get
like
off
till
work,
like 7 o'clock, till the train comes back, so I can go home.
and so you would just hang out in the airport.
Yeah.
Kind of like that movie, The Terminal, with Tom Hanks,
Yes.
like where he lived in the airport.
Until it becomes so stressful, I started sleeping in the golf carts behind Hilton at the back of the hotel until the security guards saw me and they go, "What are you doing? You work here. What are you doing?" And I explained to them, and they said, "Hold on." And they called room service, and where there was the empty room, they would let me sleep in there.
That's
But I had to
wonderful.
leave by the morning,
That's wonderful,
which
though.
led to more stories because I could call downstairs and get free food. Hey, it's Marlon.
Yeah.
What do you guys have? What do you want? What do you guys have? Marlon, just come downstairs. And yes,
That's wonderful, though. So, through all of this, you were finding places of
You-
support.
I think people can feel energy, and once you're truthful and you're humble and you show gratitude, good things happen.
Yeah.
I have bad stories, but it wasn't always bad. It's not that bad. I've always prevailed. And I'm not saying that to be cocky or arrogant.
You're an authentic
well-
person.
Life has to go on.
Well, you're an authentic person, and people feel that. And so I think people are more inclined to help someone if they can trust what they're reading from
Right,
that
right.
person, and they could trust you. They could
Right.
trust what you're saying
Right.
is reality.
Right.
You're not trying to, you don't have an angle. You don't have an agenda.
No.
You're saying this is what's going on
This
with
is the
me.
struggle, and
And people, I think human beings do want to help each other,
so
and
that's-
so I think you witnessed that in real time
I think we're all struggling, and where we can help.
in
we
one way
should
or
help.
another. Absolutely.
So
So was the commute? Oh my gosh! So the commute. I thought the commute
That's a
from
terrible
Homestead
commute.
to
Yeah, it's a
North
terrible
Miami
commute,
was
yeah.
crazy, but this even
and
required.
that's when I referred earlier. I would probably get like 3 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep. I get home like 7, go to sleep till 11, and then I have to start back. I'm getting ready to come back to work.
11 in the morning, from 7 to 11 in the
Yeah.
morning, and then start getting ready to go
Yeah,
back to
go
work.
back to work because I have to I have to travel to get back to work to get back.
Because when
but-
would your shift start?
I think 5 or 6.
So you would spend your whole
I would
day
get the
just
late
to
shift.
get there.
Yes.
Well,
That's a terrible commute in a car, let alone having to
Yes.
hop, skip, and jump around, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
can you
I
share?
met very cool people though. I met
I bet.
a guy who I'm still very good friends. He still is. He moved to Washington. He's a music teacher he was the music teacher at Frost University.
Mm.
Because I'm the type of person, if I see you and you have on a band T-shirt, I'm gonna ask you,
Yeah.
are you a poser? Or you?
Yeah.
And I made friends because I also have a puppet that I made to have with me on the ride, just to be interesting.
You had a puppet,
I have a puppet. Hold
like
me
a
still.
like a ventriloquist
He's
type situation.
He's a lighter version of me, but yes,
And you would bring him,
I can send you a picture later. Yes,
and he would just like hang out next
yeah.
to
People,
you.
like, what the hell's going on here? But yes,
And you would
it's
just-
just to start conversation because I think everyone walks around thinking that rain is only falling on them, and we all have it. But if you can bring light to somebody else or something else, why not do it?
Yeah. What would you do with the puppet?
Just talk crap. Like, how's your day going?
But with
I
the
like
puppet.
your hair. Yeah, no,
With the
like,
puppet.
nice shoes. Simple stuff, and people are like, really, what the? And yeah, it just open up conversation.
Was this at the airport?
No, this is on the trip on the
on this-
metro rail.
yeah,
On the metro rail, you would
Yeah.
do that.
On Tri-Rail.
Yeah, the tri-rail.
Yeah, the Tri-Rail.
Guaranteed there's people that remember you.
Yeah, I've had friends
For
on
sure.
Facebook that still, yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I've got a question, maybe a comment, but
Sure.
what you mentioned earlier, like something about being cocky. I feel like it's more inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
What you're
I don't want
describing is
people to think that I'm cocky.
no, I wouldn't say it's coming across that way. Not to me, at least. It's
Okay,
very
okay.
inspirational. Is that an American thing? Do you think, like, or if you compare it to Trinidad, what you're describing, is that opportunity, is that vibe there, or is that really here in America? And you
I
know what
think
I'm saying?
America opened up a whole can of whoops when I came here. I did everything I think I could have done in Trinidad, creatively and everything with people. And I wanted to see if my success is based on the people I work with or I can do this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
When I first came here, working and hanging in Miami, they told me I would talk too soft, or I would my my words would die out, and they taught me very early: if you don't ask, you'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get more bold, and I realized people are people no matter where you go.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be, even when I played rock music, and I tell people this, it wasn't white people music. The music chose me. I didn't choose why I like this. I just like
Hmm.
the bands
Mm-hmm.
that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it is. I think America just made me better, a better vision of my Trinidad self.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And it was like a huge outlet for you
Yeah.
to then just
And
go
this
for
is
it.
after losing myself that I mentioned earlier, and realizing if you keep changing your faces, there will come a time where you'll have no face.
Mm.
And this is it. Either you like it, or like I told you earlier, um, people like me because I talk the truth, but people also don't like me
Yeah.
because I talk the truth.
You're an
But
open
the
book.
point there is I talk my truths.
Hmm.
I when I say that movie was not nice, I'm not saying the movie is not nice for you. What that's what people get confused about. Um, so my stories or whatever, I've talked the talk and I've walked the walk in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And people can feel that off of you,
I
and
hope. I
your
hope.
energy for
I
sure.
hope.
For sure. Can you offer a little bit of glimpse into what it was like to kind of exist in the airport during those times? Like, what is that like to just, because, okay, so for most people,
Keep awake.
when they go to an airport,
And you would see
you
you would
know,
see sad looking people because their flights are probably delayed. People sleeping on the floor. You just talk to people. I've made friends working in the airport too, because the regulars there, they'd be like, "What the hell are you doing? How come we always see you here?" Um,
was
I,
it high stress? Could you feel the stress off of people? Because people are mainly stressed
I
in
can
an
tell you a lot
airport.
of stresses. When I was living in Hollywood, and I told you, for people who know Hollywood, 24th Street, let's just say it like this, is 24 streets from I-95. There was a time I was getting dropped off because I became friends with people in Hilton, but they would drop me off on like 95. And this is like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I
Mm.
Hmm.
would walk home 24 streets
East.
Wow.
Were you east of
Walking east?
95 or west of
west.
95?
I was close to the art
Oh,
circle.
walking west.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
So, high stress, coming back to your question, I think I think people need to understand stress is part of life. Mismanaging stress is what slows us down and kills us. Stress, like an example for an animal, when the alligator jumps off the water to eat the gazelle, the stress should make you jump higher, run faster. You should be you should adapt to stress and make yourself better, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Great
That
advice.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
So how long were you doing that? Where you were traveling from Hollywood to the Hilton behind the Miami airport?
At least 6 months. It's on my LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'll plug my LinkedIn, but it is there. I'm trying to remember.
Okay. And what were you doing for the Hilton?
I did everything from PBX, PBX phones
Yep.
Okay.
to bellboys. Bellboy is the best thing because people invite you back to their rooms and you get very nice tips. And
Yeah.
I could tell you stories on that also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And so you worked there for 6 months?
yes, I've seen this. Remember again, this is behind Miami's airport, so it's very high stress where everyone thinks they're a celebrity and everyone is high stress. They throw receipts back at you. There's a room in Hilton, and I can say it, where you're allowed to go back and scream. No one will hear you, and then come back out and work.
Wow. Just because
They
of
will complain
dealing.
for anything. There's noises. I need to change my room, and you're just supposed to smile. I will not work in hospitality, and I'll say
Well,
that.
that's I bet that's a high stress Hilton anyways, because you're really only staying there if you're coming in
Right.
like for a cruise line
right. It's
or your
right behind the
plane's
airport, Blue
delayed or
Lagoon.
yeah,
It's very stressed,
yeah,
and 90% of the people speak Spanish.
yeah,
Mm.
yep.
Do you?
No,
Okay.
poco, very
Yeah.
poquito, very little.
Actually, that brings me. What is the language? Is it English on Trinidad?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a dialect, where they break up words, but certain people speak Spanish in Trinidad. Certain people speak French,
Hmm.
but English. I mean,
English is
yeah, I
the
mean England was
language.
ruling, so
Right.
Scotland Yard and all the good stuff.
Yeah. So when you left Hilton, what happened?
When I left home,
When you
where
left Hilton, where did you go
I
from
got a
Hilton?
job on Sample Road, a place called, it's all in my LinkedIn. I plug my LinkedIn again. A place called Logo Up. Um, and I'm trying to remember how that happened. I think a friend was applying for jobs for me closer. Um, and I got the job, and yeah, I worked there for a long while.
What did you do?
The graphic artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because you stepped away from that for that brief period
Yes.
you were at Hilton. So was it nice to be
Yeah,
back?
because I was taking any job I could get.
Right, of course. So
Mm.
it had to have been nice to be back at it.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
And how long were you there?
5 years, I think.
So did you get a place close to that job?
Yes, I was like 5 minutes away from work, where all the guys would come to the bachelor's den. There was Xbox, and my studio apartment looked like a bachelor's pad.
Okay.
So
That's good.
people would take their lunch breaks to come over. I could say this now: drink beers,
Yeah.
play video games,
Yeah.
and then go back to work. Yes,
So you had that
stress was
high stress
minimized.
situation, and then
Yes.
you're now in a
I could walk to work. Yes.
yeah. That's
Yeah, it's
nice.
nice.
That's nice. And
Much
so,
better area too. Sample Road, wherever you're at, it's better than
Yes.
down in
where
those-
you
yeah.
were. So that was 5 years doing graphic design
Yes.
there, and so now we're what in the 2010s, 2015,
Probably.
somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
On his LinkedIn.
It's
Yeah.
on my, as
Go on his
you get
LinkedIn.
older, the years all
Oh,
the
man, it
Yeah,
all
yeah.
blends
Oh,
together.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Now, in addition to the graphic design, did you do anything, any side hustles?
I'm still doing side hustles.
Yeah.
I always do side hustles, but because my lime is it's not limited, but I choose what I want to do with my time. I choose the people I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll help people, but when it comes to money, I'm not gonna haggle you, or I'm not gonna run you down. I work with 2 churches in North Carolina, and I work with a yacht, if that's how you say it, a boat company in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
They don't question anything. They know what they want. I have a 1099. They send the money.
And so you're doing graphic design for them,
Yes.
for their marketing?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you have your own side gig.
Yes.
Have you ever opened a business, your own business, or founded any
No, I've been
business?
tempted to start the LLC,
Mm-hmm.
but things have been going well enough. I've never really pushed on it.
Okay. So even through the years, you
Yeah.
didn't co-found.
Yeah, it's on my.
It's
joking,
it's
but
all it's all it's
there.
all
I've been
up
an
there.
independent. I've always been hustling.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that early in America. There's money to get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true. Now, have you, when you've been hustling, have you worked with any friends or done things with a partner? Or has it always been just you?
I've worked with friends.
And has that been a positive experience always?
Always no. I had a friend that stole $8,000 from me.
What happened there?
I was doing work for him, and he kept promising, and I kept doing more work for him, and he kept promising, and then I go, bro, protein powder is not cheap.
Yeah.
I'm not angry or anything, but I gotta go. And then he got very angry, saying I turned my back on him, and I go, you know where I live. If you really want to fight or talk about it, come see me. No, I can't keep doing this.
Were you doing graphic art
This
for
was
him?
after Logo Up. I left Logo Up after 5 years to start the e-liquid company with a very close friend.
What's an e-liquid?
E-liquid is those vape
Mm-hmm.
cigarettes, the
Okay.
flavored smokes.
So you were starting a company.
Yes. Traveled all across California, Houston, uh, Buffalo, New York.
And it was your company?
Was me and him. Yes.
So you were still living in that, still had the apartment base off of Sample Road, but
Yes.
traveling.
I left Logo Up. I told them I'm going to start a new company, and they go, okay.
So you and this friend started that company, and you were going to different places and selling it, selling your
We would
product.
go to smoke shops. We would go to conferences. We go to expos. Yeah.
What was the name of your vape?
Conviction e-liquids.
And this would have been probably in the early time when vapes were just coming out,
Yes.
right?
Because we were down in Miami. We're doing a bunch of shows. Yeah.
So that had been a pretty successful business.
It would have been. It was going well. Yes.
And then,
My friends started getting too happy and doing side hustles, selling illegal stuff and doing bad stuff behind what we were doing to make more money.
Mm,
And the investors found out
mm,
and they shut the company down.
no.
They shut us down.
And so how long had you been doing that?
At
That
least a year.
and so when he took the 8,000 from you, was that after the investors pulled out? Was that as at the demise of the
Yeah, they gave me like
business?
3 laptops and they tried to give me stuff, but it's just the friendship where you, every time you're starting something with a friend, at least have things in writing.
Yes.
Hmm.
But
So did that friendship dissolve then?
yes,
And it's a learning thing,
yes,
right?
it's part
Yeah.
of my fault too. I trusted them, but
Yeah. It's hard. And like you said, I think it's hard to go into business with friends because if it goes downhill,
yeah,
you're
I was
kind of
doing
stuck.
everything. He was like the sales guy, and I'm doing operations. I'm doing deliveries. I'm doing photography. I'm doing the website. But I didn't mind. I like working,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and then it starts becoming overbearing where you're using my car, but you don't want to put back gas. Little things starts
Yes.
drip, drip, drip on the bucket.
Resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you probably learned a lot doing all the
Yes.
traveling. You were traveling, you were
Yeah.
meeting with people, you were doing what conventions?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you probably
And
learned a
with my
ton.
personality,
Yeah.
I book shows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So after that business venture, then what did you do?
I started working for a rehab company
And was that
in
still
Delray,
in Delray? And
multimedia, websites, SEO, back end stuff.
for the rehab
Yes,
company. So marketing
yes,
stuff?
yes.
And did you keep the place in Sample or did you move closer to Delray?
No, I was still in sample that time.
Okay. And so still graphic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
design.
That's my love.
That's your thing.
That's my love.
That's
Yes,
your
I
love.
do everything, but graphics is my love.
Okay. And how long were you there?
Till the FBI kicked the doors down and shut them down.
Oh, man.
What happened with that?
Welcome to South Florida.
No kidding. What happened with that?
The guy's name is James. That's all I'll say. He
Okay.
had his wife pretending to be a doctor, cashing checks in the bank, and they let that go on for a little while until they shut it down. All I
Okay.
know is the FBI came in, and they didn't come in softly, and they came in looking for him, and they said shut everything down. This place is getting shut down.
Serious. So his wife was pretending to be a doctor, a rehab doctor?
I'm not sure, but sh- whatever the doctor's name is on the check. She was that doctor cashing the check.
And so people thought that they were
He was embezzling money, moving money someplace else.
It's a
okay.
big business down here.
Okay.
That's all over the place.
Besides, and I could say this because people know this, besides changing people's piss samples and doing stuff like that,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay. Were you there when they came in?
yes,
The FBI?
yes.
My gosh, you get a front row seat to all the exciting stuff.
Had
You
you
have all these
become
life experiences that really
That's
happen.
why I'm not really stressed because it's like, what can
Yeah,
happen
yeah.
now?
You're like, what? Whatever.
did you have your citizenship yet or
No, I don't think
Oh
so.
my
no.
gosh.
yeah, right?
No.
For a second, did you think they were coming for you?
You're always on
Well, the
on your
scoop.
news. Yes.
The
yes.
scoop, right?
Oh, the
Yeah.
scoop. Ever since the scoop on the basketball court,
Yeah.
you probably
You
always are kind of like,
think something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
coming.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So were they there and got arrested in front of you?
They yes, taken out in handcuffs, and I mean we weren't sure what was happening until after, but yes, they were.
You weren't though.
No.
Just them.
Yeah. They knew what they were doing.
So now you're out of a job.
Oh.
You're again.
Yes.
Okay. So, and how long were you there?
I don't remember.
It's on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yes. Almost a year, I would think. Yes.
Okay. So,
Wow.
what did you do after that? Because you couldn't really use these
started
people as
working
a
in a- This
reference.
part is not on my LinkedIn. I started
Okay.
working in a printry, which I have stories there too.
A print tree.
A printry.
What-
They do like calendars, normal, like a print shop,
Okay. Okay.
print
Okay.
yeah.
shop.
Okay.
But
The graphic design for them.
yes, doing catalogs, doing calendars, doing postcards.
Were you going into an office or was that work from home?
That's where the trickiness starts. It was an office warehouse in the sense the work desk was right next to where all the chemicals and everything was mixing. So you would have your lunch and it would taste like
No.
ink.
Oof.
Well, not just that. Think about what you were breathing in.
Right.
How long did you do
Not
that?
very long
Yeah,
because
you start to feel high probably
every
halfway through
time
the
I've
day.
lost a job or something bad happens, I just do whatever it takes to transition. I know it's not going to stay long, but I'm not going to stay home and think
Mm-hmm.
about where I'm going to get money from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one day I from there I was doing cardio, and this guy walks up to me and he goes, "How much longer you have?" And I go, 45 minutes. And he goes, "What?" We started talking, and that same evening he hired me, and I started working in Boca for a place called SA Fishing.
So wait, you were doing cardio what? Where, at a gym?
Yeah, LA Fitness.
Okay, and so he wanted what, the
He
machine you
wanted a machine.
were you doing, like Stairmaster or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, and then you guys just started
Yeah. He's like, "What
talking.
do you do?" I do graphics. He goes, "Really? Tell me more." And we started talking, and he's like, "Can you come in?" And I say, "Yeah, when I'm done," because I'm still.
Got to finish my cardio.
It's, I never want to seem desperate in any situation.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping because even if I want to jump because I know people will prey on that.
Yeah.
So smart.
I don't know if it's smart, but I've been. I'm sure I've been burnt before, and I learned that very fast.
No, that's great advice for listeners. That you kind of set the standard of how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Even if you need what
Yeah.
they're offering, hold back a little bit.
Always.
Don't play your hand.
So we know not
Yeah.
to play poker with him.
For sure, for sure. So, how long were you at the print shop?
6 months.
Yeah, that's
But
enough
that's not
time.
on my LinkedIn because I wasn't very happy to put that there.
Yeah. You need to get out of there health wise too. And then you worked for, what was the company in Boca then?
SA Fishing.
And what did they do?
You can look them up there. They mainly do face shields and sports apparel, fishing and hunting. But
Okay.
when we started, there were like 11 to 12 or 13 people. I shared a desk with my very good friend Lauren. I think she moved to Italy, but the place was it was a startup company,
Mhm.
and we shared a desk. And 3 years after, it was $1 million company.
Wow.
Cool.
So
And during that time, were you still in Sample, or did you eventually move closer to Boca Del Rey area?
I think I was after Sample. I think I did move to Boca.
Okay, while you were working there.
I just kept moving north. One day I might end up in Naples.
Yeah. So still graphic design, still
Yes.
staying the same.
Yeah.
The same. And then you were there 3 years?
Where are we talking about?
The
Until COVID happened.
Okay.
We're moving up the years now.
All right. So it was called SA Fisher?
Fishing.
SA Fishing.
They're still
Yeah.
going. Because they were bought out by some New York investors right at the COVID time, and everything changed.
What happened when they were bought up?
They changed people.
And so they let everybody go?
Yeah, but I was already tired. But the boss and I are friends, Tom DeSernier, and he asked me. He started another company called Sama, SAMA, which does marketing for anyone. And he asked me if I wanted to go over there and be in charge of some graphic people, and that's what I did.
So during COVID, that's what you did?
Yes.
And everyone was home, obviously.
Yeah.
So this would have been, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
The way it all just,
I was still making money.
it just
Yeah.
kept working out for you.
Because you can't be scared to take. I'm not sure if opportunity knocks more than once, but I'm not giving it that chance.
Yeah. You just, no matter what's going on, you're just moving
there.
forward.
I'm there.
Moving forward.
Well, you have a skill too, though.
Yeah.
I've seen your work, and it's awesome, and
Thank
it's
you.
quick, right?
I recently did a job for the job I'm working for right now. I did 1,230 images in 8 days. I had to
Wow.
format it for the web.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody that I know can do that.
Yeah.
No, that's insane.
Did you do like a batch through Photoshop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But what I did, I took 2 Fridays and I said, if I went out with the girls from 7:30 to 11:30, I would be having a good time. So I could be home 7:30 to 11:30, playing my EDM and still get this done. Why?
Yeah.
I like challenges and I like stress to a certain level. I like people. I'll make this quick. I did not go to school in America. I did not go to college, elementary, whatever. I did not go to school. So my reputation is not he's a Harvard graduate. So I built my reputation by doing good work.
Yeah.
And everyone that knows me, every job I've left, I'm sure I can go back and get a job there.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people I was living with in Hollywood, while I was there, I was doing the dishes, I was cleaning the house because I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not doing that to get a star, but make life livable.
Well, you've built your reputation.
Yeah, I built my reputation.
And not just professionally, but personally. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, it's why you had such a strong support system when things weren't so easy. People were happy to help you because you had such a solid, authentic reputation. And there's something to be, it's called integrity.
I have in COVID, when COVID, and we're not going to stay there, I have friends that are sheriff that had gyms open. I probably shouldn't say this, but there were gyms open in COVID when gyms were closed and you couldn't train because I made friends with good people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that doesn't just happen.
Right.
That's that you're attracting that from your energy, from your authenticity,
I need to
From-
go out more then.
from your integrity, right? So, and during this time, I mean, I know when you were in Miami, you were dating. Did that continue on through as you moved up more north? Were there any relationships?
I'm in a relationship now for the past 11 years.
Okay.
I don't want to say the girl, but I'll start it like that. It was an OK Cupid for people that know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
That's around the time of Plenty of Fish. If people,
Okay, so it's a
it's
was
an old dating app.
dating app. Okay, so that's how you guys met.
Her friend told her, "Go on this and see what's there." She went on for a week. We messaged and she deleted the app because she's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And her friend says, "But you didn't even give it a chance." She came back on and she says, "Hey, I really hate this app. Here's my number." And she was living Boca. I was living Boca. I say, "Hey, you want to go to Denny's? I'm old. You want to
Yeah.
go to Denny's?"
Yeah.
Let's-"
Denny's
And-
is
They
good.
have great milkshakes.
Milkshakes. They're milkshakes.
And since then, I say now I need to get paroled, but we've been together.
So, is she from here?
She's originally from Connecticut, moved to New York, Greenpoint, came down to do school, and never moved from Florida.
Okay, that kind of happens. You start living down here and you don't leave
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
so.
so-
And are you comfortable sharing what she does? What her profession is?
She's a family therapist. She's a gambling therapist. She's working on a PhD. She's a brainiac.
Wow.
She
I'm-
does she she's like the I'm trying to find a funny way to say this. She's like the encyclopedia and I'm the coloring book.
Okay. Yeah, I see. I bet you guys beautifully complement
Yes.
each other. Yeah, it's funny because Brian always says he got his degree in psychology so he could be married to me.
Yeah.
So I'm sure as her as a therapist, she
We
can
argue
handle
about-
whatever.
Sigmund Freud and the way things happen and Nietzsche and a whole bunch of stuff because I think I'm the YouTube therapist.
Mm,
And,
okay.
And of course things have changed and they say, certain things are wrong, but in that time it wasn't wrong. So we play argue. Well, we don't argue anymore, but
Yeah. Oh, it's okay to argue. That's part of a relationship. That's I think when you
after 11 years I ignore. I don't
yeah,
argue.
oh, there you go. There's that avoidant. No,
I'm
but-
with you, man.
I always say if things get quiet in a relationship, you got to worry.
Yeah, because there's nothing to win. When you win, you still lose.
Yeah, but it's worth working something. If you
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
say
yeah,
something,
yeah,
you got to
yeah.
say something.
There are times
so-
when I've said stuff where under stress I really didn't mean, and I do apologize and I do get past it.
yeah,
That's why in any relationship for 11 months compared to 11 years, you had to have something working on.
Yeah.
And she has made me a better person.
Yeah.
Gina is her name.
yeah, and as a couple and separately, it's important to always evolve and continue
Yeah.
to grow as people and in the relationship, so things don't get stagnant personally.
Like I've been harassing her right now to do online therapy because she
Mm.
told me her friend is doing it and she quit her job and now she's doing it. And I go, stop being complacent and lazy, on Saturdays or whatever. I joke with her. I said, get off a ST and you could be making extra money that you can go to Sprouts with. It doesn't have to be. I joke with her, but I was like,
Yeah.
That's relatable. I love Sprouts. Does she like Whole Foods too?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So we have the same taste. I love that. So in addition to graphic design, since
so I'm off the market since.
oh
then.
yes, yeah. To make it
It's
clear,
11 years and I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
that's wonderful. But in addition to graphic design, is there other creative things
I
you
do everything. I do photography. I do video editing. I do web front page design. I do a little bit of SEO. I do back end stuff. I'm not really big into that because that really slows you down, and you have to be very on the back end. You have to be coding. I know HTML, but it's not really my thing because
Mhm.
I like to create and I like to be fast moving.
Mhm.
I like to take an empty space and create emotion. Even with my
Mm.
Instagram posts or whatever, I have to say something what I think is funny or do something funny. If people look at my stuff and they go, you either hate it or you like it. I'm going for
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
everything I do in my life, like, I want to present part of me in everything that I do.
Mhm.
So
You're almost sharing a story in everything that you're
like
doing.
she says, the therapist, my girl says, you're always telling a story. I
Yeah.
said, because people remember stories.
Yes, and it stays with them
Yeah.
and it affects them. Do you still do anything musically?
Right now, I'm trying to go into my Nine Inch Nails time where I'm learning to play drums.
Mm.
I have a MIDI keyboard. I have friends that play different instruments, but I have songs I want to do all the instruments for myself. And if I have a friend that plays saxophone, he could come in. If you can sing, you come in and you say a line. I want to do certain things for myself right now. I've played with bands where the last band I played with, and I'm not going to call the name, it's a 20-minute set that takes 3 hours because
Mm.
everybody wants to get high and get drunk and party. And I I don't no, I don't want to do that.
You're past that point
Yeah,
in
and
your
So
I'm
in
not
your
a
life. Yeah.
uh, I could be as raw as I don't want to be a whore on just because I love being on stage. I
Mm.
like to be on stage, but if I feel no connection with the people or the things that I'm doing, and if the creative direction is not, I'm not part of it. I cannot be part of it.
And there's that authenticity.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be anything anymore. I'm way past that.
So did you do any performing or continue musically when you got to America? Did you
Yeah,
kept
yeah.
So where did you perform here? Where would you
Churchill's,
Okay.
yeah, the famous Churchill in Little Haiti. Yeah, Marilyn Manson played there all over.
oh,
We've
cool.
driven up to Tampa. We've all over the place.
Was it one band?
Yes,
And how many members were in the band?
4 members, a girl drummer. The band was very good.
And what did you play bass?
Yes, play bass guitar.
And but you don't want to say the name, right?
At that time, the name of the band was Hyman.
Hyman. Oh, nice.
So it's a punk band.
Yeah,
You asked for it.
And it was a punk band.
Yes, a metal punk band.
Did you
metal punk.
Yes, I have like, what's that newspaper called? The New Times. I have articles with us in it. I have it printed. I have it
like
scanned. Yeah, yeah, I have
yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
So when you did you start that right when you got to America, or did it take some time to find
While I was working in Bloodline, the band room that I stayed in, the
Mhm.
guys, they
Mhm.
go, "Hey, Marlon, you used to play bass, right?" I go, "Yeah, I dabble a little bit. You want to join a band?" You know how it's.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm in a band and I'm playing. A year after, I'm still playing in a band, and
So in the middle of all the job stuff where you're traveling from
yeah,
Hollywood and you were homeless and everything, you're also in a band.
yes. Well, I got to do something.
There's layers
I'm
to
gonna
this.
I'm gonna go crazy. I am already crazy, but yes,
So you were, in addition to these jobs, you were also traveling and performing
yes,
with a band. So I assume you would do that on your days off or
yeah.
when you didn't have work.
Take
You
time
guys.
off or on the weekend or take a trip. The problem was never driving up to Tampa for people who know where this is. The 3 hour drive after standing up for a gig, falling asleep twice, almost crashing, driving home was the problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's no Tampa's. That's a drive.
So
It's
yes,
a hike.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
don't realize
and
always how.
what made me move away from the band is that the band members would be so high and drunk, no one would call to even make sure you made it back home. And I go, I can't be a part. This is not my family.
Right, right.
So
So how long were you in the band? Would
that
you?
band, probably 3 years, a long time.
Wow.
It was going great.
Yeah. And besides
We played
Tampa,
in Studio A down in Miami. We played all over. I have my Facebook has the videos.
That's
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
So did you get into another band after that, or was that the one band you did here?
No, I stopped playing because I was so disgusted, and
Mm.
I go. I started playing with people like even in arts. I would go to drum circles and play music just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to be in a band anymore.
So now that you're learning how to play the drums, this is kind of you're stepping a little bit back into the
Well, like
musical
a
world.
year ago, the same guys from that band messaged me, and I joined back the band thinking things had changed. it had changed. It got worse,
Oh no.
and
Oh
I
wow.
played for a year, and then I just dropped out.
Okay. Yeah, because your life isn't your life anymore.
They would give the band, and I'm very transparent. The band leader would take the money and give everyone else drinking tabs. I don't drink.
Yeah.
I have nothing against drinking, but I spent give me $5 for gas at
Right.
Yeah.
least,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I started to get. I could show you a Facebook message. I go, and he goes, no, well, I have to put the money I made back into the band before anybody could get paid. I go, yeah, but that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, that's too bad
So
that didn't work out.
what are you doing now? Are you playing different instruments, laying down single tracks, so then
Yes, home.
combine them?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I have a Foresight, uh, uh, USB. I have everything home.
Yeah, yeah.
MIDI players. I have a Yamaha acoustic drum set. I got 3 bass guitars. I got an acoustic. I got a RG 350 neon green Ibanez
awesome.
guitar. Yeah.
So you're creating your own original music.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, you're
Just for fun. I put it on SoundCloud or wherever.
Yeah.
It's not to make money or be famous or anything. It's just
yeah,
to have fun.
it's your outlet. You're an incredibly creative person,
Yes.
and you need those outlets.
Yes.
Usually, creative people need something or they go crazy.
I'm also, just to say something, I'm also working on a children's book.
Are you really?
Yes.
About what?
It's about an amphibian, which is me, but it's about anyone. The story is about coming to America and finding yourself, going through hardships, and balancing, the water and land. But I want to write it in such a way where anyone in any part of life will understand. You have to go through this to become who you are.
That's wonderful. Are you? And you're doing, I assume, the art for it.
Yes.
And then are you also writing the words?
Yes.
How much of it do you have done right now?
I would say 2/3 of it.
That's exciting.
I have friends that are very creative people, and everyone wants to get involved.
Mm.
But I'm not stubborn, but I like people to come in after. If you wanna present something to me, that's fine. But I don't want you to taint what I'm doing first until I get my
Yeah.
vision out.
Yeah. You want to make sure it's your, like you said, your vision, your dream, what you have in your mind, and then they can come in. But you need to make sure that's set.
I'm very. I don't know if it's stubborn, but it has to be true.
Yeah. Authentic.
Yeah, it has to be authentic.
I think that's a theme here.
When did you realize you were an artist, or when did you get that artist bug?
Mm.
I was probably, I don't know. I was probably 5,
Uh-huh.
and the weekend comics, for people that know what that is,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I would take candles from not having electricity, rub candles on pieces of paper, take the Spider-Man or whatever cartoons, use that as tracing paper, and I learned to draw with the ink printing out on the candle, and I started to learn to draw. That's how I started learning to draw.
So could you always draw? Because I would love to be able to draw, but none of us in our family can. None of us
No.
even have decent handwriting.
No.
So we're all jealous of guys like you.
Yeah.
I bought an iPad so I can start digitally drawing, and I have so many creative things I want to do. I had to download an app called Habit Hub to organize my time in 15-minute segments
Hmm.
to make sure I get to do the things that I like. That is part of me.
Wow. Wow.
I have to organize my chaos.
That's
So
interesting.
is that
Because I could go on YouTube and get the next video and the next video and forget what I'm doing. It happens to all of us.
So is that an app for artists to
No,
organize?
it's that if anyone trying to cultivate habits,
Okay,
Interesting.
and so but you're using it to organize
my life.
your and your creativity.
I did once. I woke up and I wrote everything I did for a day, and I saw loopholes where I can maximize time or use time better. And then I realized if I don't do the things that I like doing, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
So I go to bed usually by 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I get home like 6:30.
So you just have like a couple
That's right.
hours.
And I've got 3 dogs and I've got a wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you get up at like 3 in the morning or
I
something?
get up at 4:15.
Yeah,
I wake up
okay.
at 4 and I go, why am I doing this? But I do get up.
And,
By 4:15, I go, excuses won't get anything done. So I do get up.
and what do you do? Or is it to work out?
Yeah, I go to the gym.
So you go to the gym and then you come back home and get ready for work.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. But that's good. You get your workout out of the way.
Yeah, and unless people where they live, people listening, go to a gym where it's not crowded at nights, I'm not going in the night. It's
Yeah.
it's either the hardcore or the older people very early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I much rather deal with that.
I saw something that said the energy at a gym in the morning is completely different than the
Yeah,
energy at the gym
yeah,
at night. In the morning, you have the day ready, and it's just more of a positive feel. Where at night, it's kind of like
I get to
they're
the
coming
gym when
after
it's
work.
dark. By the time I'm leaving, the sun is coming out. You
Yeah.
feel good. Endorphins are released. You go, I don't care what happens. I just squatted. This is great.
Yeah, yeah. We do our walk. We get up. I get up. I set the alarm for 5:35 exactly,
That's great.
and then we're out the door. Usually, our goal is 6. Sometimes it's 6:10, but we get our walk in
That's great.
before I have to wake up our youngest
Mhm.
for school. And our one dog can't handle the heat. So it's a way for him to be able to walk before it's really hot out. But you're right. I mean, after that, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
like
great.
ready.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
I'm ready
sometimes
to get back in bed.
I know. Sometimes our youngest the other day, Dylan was like, "Why are
I
you
wish
so
I could go back
happy?"
in bed.
Yeah.
Well, he works from home, so he can get back in bed and get on, his laptop. But
Well, you know what's happened is it's a habit forming, right? So now we're like maybe 3 weeks to a month back into this, right? So now
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
like
but I've been told you have a gym in the back. So
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
like that's midday stuff.
I have a 600-foot patio, which I told my girl I want to put a gym, and she's like, "No, you're not."
You
We'll
know what
have
I
to
would
sh- we'll
I
have
recommend
wish I
to-
is
would have that.
We'll show it to you afterwards.
I wish I
because-
had something.
what
like
I
that.
would do is get a sled. We
Mm.
pushing and pulling a sled.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, that's a great workout. We do it
Yeah.
on the side. Well, you do it more than
Yeah.
me. But the nice thing about the gym in the back is you could go out there anytime throughout the day and just get a set. Even 30
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
and
I
it's
wish.
done. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
very convenient.
I've
But
been joking saying I'm going to Home Depot or get one of those pods, and I'll make an enclosure and I'll put the gym in that so my girl doesn't see it, so she doesn't think I've changed it. I'm like, I want a little workout place here.
yeah,
like,
yeah. No, it's very
It's
convenient.
convenient.
It is.
yeah.
You know that what you do though that we don't do is you go to bed early.
Yeah.
You have to.
I
Because
know.
If
I'm gonna. Can you move your mic down a little bit? Like, he looked his face.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure it wasn't his face.
if I probably have anger issues, and the gym is therapy.
Mm.
Mhm.
I don't have anger issues, but you feel much better with the gym.
Yeah,
And I pep talk myself in the gym like you have to.
but do you do that also for sleep?
When you say what?
I feel like you getting up and going to the gym early.
I say mantras all the time in my life.
But but to commit to going to bed early, I feel like can be just as hard as
I have
getting
my
up
Alexa
early.
saying it's time to bed by 9 o'clock, and I know it's late when she says that.
Okay.
And my girl, every time she says that, and I could say this, when Alexa says it's time to go to bed, my girl goes, "Shut up, whore," because she doesn't want to go to bed. And my girl tells me every day, you don't have to go to the gym. And I go, I know this. I
But-
want to go to the gym.
And I'm impressed by your commitment to make sure that you get enough sleep so you can get the full benefits
Have
of
you
your
ever
workout.
almost fell off a treadmill multiple times? That's what happens when you don't sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you the type that goes to sleep right like that?
She says in 2 minutes, I'm not. I say, yeah, because I'm tired.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You got up
Yeah.
so early.
I'm not saying I'm tired and going in bed with my phone in my hand.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, no.
That's the one
Yeah.
thing we're still working on.
Yeah. I'm
You
not
know.
saying anything about anybody, but I'm just saying people say they're tired, but then they find something else to do. I'm tired, I'm going to sleep.
No, you're right. You're 100%.
Yeah.
And sleep is just as important as working out.
Yeah, and people don't realize sickness, growth, brain power,
Yep.
your sleep will help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel much better. You can deal with stress. So yeah,
Yeah, no, and I read something, or I probably saw something that said during the night your brain cleans itself,
I
and you have to give it that time to do that. It's almost like a, and so if you don't sleep enough or getting a deep enough sleep, it can affect your brain, the health of your brain, which I didn't know that. So I think that's
yeah.
that's
People
really
say
interesting.
I'll sleep when I'm dead. You will die faster if you don't sleep.
It's true. It's true. It's so important.
And
Oh,
I've seen on Joe Rogan talk about if you miss sleep on Monday, Tuesday, and you think you can get it back on Sunday by sleeping all day, you've already damaged yourself.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not building back.
yeah, yeah,
You've
yeah.
already
Yeah.
so
You can't catch up.
no.
You can't catch up. So in
Do you
addition,
well? Are you like that Saturday, Sunday as well? So every day you're in bed by 8:39.
I go to the gym 6 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
So I get a little more. I could spend a little more time with my girl. We could watch an old movie like Jaws.
Yeah.
I still like the old movies.
oh yeah, it's a Gen X movie.
Yeah.
So I spend a little more time, but yes,
So that might be like a 10 o'clock bedtime.
yes, I
Okay.
still need to get at least 8 hours of sleep.
You're
Yeah,
you're so
interesting.
good at that.
Yeah.
You're an inspiration for me with that. Honestly, that's something we have to work
I don't know,
on.
when I tell people my age and they don't believe me, I go, that's the plastic trophy that bodybuilding gives you.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
I'm walking in life, and
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
100%. So in addition to your children's book and creating your own music, are there any other uh outlets you're doing that, outside of work, as far as like, are you working on your home or
always I'm trying to make my home more expensive. So when I sell it in like 5-7 years, because I'm not gonna keep paying that HOA. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
so you do stuff, are you a do-it-yourselfer?
I try to do some stuff by myself. Like I wanna UV coat, and I wanna make my patio like how they make pool surfaces where it's like glazed and smooth, and but I cannot do that. There's no way I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just little things I want to do.
So
I
you're-
want to do over my bathrooms.
Yep.
So I want to make the house more expensive. I live
Yeah.
in a townhouse, and in about 5-7 years when I sell it, it
Yeah.
should be worth more.
So you're always kind of you're like a typical
Yes.
homeowner where you're always doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I
always
didn't
doing
understand
something.
that moving from apartments, but I don't mind. I like using my hands. So
Well, the nice thing is when you do something on your home, it's your home. So you're
Yes.
making your home better,
Yes.
and that's the mentality. Now, do you and your girl travel?
we want to, but we recent we we originally had 5 dogs.
Wow. Wow. What kind of dogs?
Bad things happen. No, we have 3, but
Okay.
one was a pit bull, one was a pointer, one was a Shih Tzu. I don't know what the other one is, and one was a Ralphie, was a Yorkie.
Mm.
3 passed away, which from 5 minus 3 is 2.
Hmm.
And for some reason, my girl said we needed another dog, and that's
Yeah.
we're back to 3. So coming back to the question, it's hard to go anywhere with 3 dogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can take the new one who's a puppy, the Basset Hound,
Mm.
but the 2 older ones,
Yeah.
they,
No, you probably don't want to send them.
we could wake
to-
up early, which we do, and we'll drive to Naples, spend the day, and come back at night.
Yeah.
We'll leave food for them. We go places. Being an immigrant, I try to go to places I've never seen in Florida,
Mhm.
Myrtle Beach, wherever, someplace close, but it's a new experience, new restaurants, a new view.
Mhm.
We would love to go to Dollywood or someplace, but with dogs, I'm not sure. We can pay for doggy hotel, but you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure.
Well,
Yeah.
the challenge is when you live in South Florida, it's like a day trip just to get to the Georgia
Yeah.
border line,
Uh-huh.
right?
It's
a
so
hike.
it's so big here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other states you want to go to in America? You have a list?
I want to go to like mountain places, like places with mountains. Only because I'm used to mountains in Trinidad.
They have mountains in Trinidad?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the
that's
Holy
cool.
Trinity. That's where the Trinidad name and everything came from. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Usually, hurricanes don't usually pass that low,
Mhm.
but when there was a hurricane, the hills protected most of the country from getting hit.
Wow. How high are the mountains?
I'm not sure.
Do they
I'm not-
get snow? No, they
No,
don't.
no,
No. It's too hot.
They're mountainous. I was
Yeah,
researching,
there's mountains.
and there's mountains for sure. It's beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful place,
Did,
really.
I can tell you stories of where people hike through the mountains to get to the beaches and stuff, and it's very nice.
I bet
Yeah,
it's. Did you hike
beautiful.
through the
Yeah.
mountains? I bet it's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah. You
gorgeous.
walk on the side of a cliff. You're walking through the mountains.
So you would love Montana or
Yes,
Wyoming.
exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Those.
could even get a decent vibe up in the Appalachians, like Tennessee, Georgia,
I would
like
love that.
north of
My girl wants to
Atlanta.
go.
Yeah.
My girl wants to move to Europe, to London.
Hmm
She likes. My girl is a very Adams Family fan. The
Mm,
house has very dark.
like Gothic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York Gothic is what she calls it.
Yeah.
There's pictures of that famous bridge from, was that show with Macaulay Culkin? Home Alone.
Yeah.
When he this, but it's winter time and all the trees are dead and the bridge is snow. That's the kind of pictures we have in the house.
Okay. Okay.
She likes dark and gloomy,
Mm-hmm.
so she wants to move to Seattle or
Mm.
Yeah,
London or
Portland. I'm from
yeah,
Portland.
those type of
Yeah.
places.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I, which is fine. If I could get my Amazon packages wherever, I don't care. Well,
No, but
I've
South
learned
Florida.
if you make, it's not wife happy, you're happy, but
No, you're onto something. No,
You
no.
know, though, you could
you're
get
onto
a.
but
something.
but there's nothing to win. And plus, like my wife has the whole house to decorate. My room with my instruments, with my stuff. Don't tell me anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
She could. I bought the furniture and I did everything that she wanted. We're very happy. But we're grown ups and she doesn't get. Like I told her I was going to be here today. She doesn't have to text me or call me. Are you sure you're going to be there? Who you're
Yeah.
going to be? So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have a
yeah.
relationship where we just compliment each other.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
sounds
Very
like it.
healthy.
I'm very
Very
happy.
healthy. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I mean the places you mentioned, Seattle, London,
Yeah, because we talk
um,
about it.
I think Ireland, Scotland,
Yes,
all
yeah.
that.
She wants to see
Yeah.
castles and all.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the dogs, I mean, you can do like a daycare thing, but
Yeah.
you'd have to,
the older ones, like we have a dog that's 13 years and he's
mm,
jokingly, he's been dying for years now and he's still going.
Mhm.
It's like any minute, but he's still going.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
you just
The ones
never
that
know.
we didn't think that were gonna die died before him, and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
like, "What's
yeah.
going on here?"
That is so funny.
That is funny.
So to go back, okay, so to go back to during COVID,
Uh-huh.
how long were you there at, you were working?
Summer?
Yeah.
Probably 3 years again.
That's like your pattern a little bit.
Yeah, I give every place 3 years until I know nothing's gonna change the way I want it.
And then you're ready to move
Yeah.
on. So then from Sama, where did you go?
I'm trying to remember now.
Because now we're outside of COVID.
I honestly, there's a time lapse in between there because there's a time I wasn't doing anything. I saved up a lot of money,
Okay.
and I should have bought my house then, but I was just happy not doing anything. I was
Yeah.
burnt out,
Mm.
because I don't mind working, but I don't take days off. I'm never sick, knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
Once I start feeling symptoms, I'm gonna start chewing medicine and swallowing medicine. I try to keep always moving, but like any non-robot, I will burn out.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I just don't want to do anything. I'm trying to now. I have to check my LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, what you're currently doing is graphic design, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
started working for a place, I Heart Mac and Cheese.
Oh, yeah, that's here in Boca.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What did you do for them?
I have everything. Design. I was
Okay.
social media design. Help them in the kitchen sometimes. They had a kitchen in the office to mock pretend doing stuff and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Free food always.
Yeah, our kids love it there.
Yeah,
I think it's still open.
they
Yeah.
have franchises all over the place.
Yeah, they do
Interesting.
well.
Yeah.
And then from there you went to where you are now where you're doing graphic design.
Yeah, I stopped working there and for a little time, and I applied to this job, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where you work now, marketing still?
yes, I'm the
And
senior graphic designer.
okay.
It's more like a multimedia designer because I'm still doing video, I'm still editing GIFs, I'm still doing motion graphics. I still help with photography, but
So everything that you've learned from way back when
mhm,
you got that job
mhm.
with the
Uh-huh.
newspaper and
It
from those
helps.
photographers,
Yes.
all these stepping stones, everything you did
Still.
led you
Yes.
to where you are now and all these skills you have.
Yes.
Because I feel like you could almost do anything,
Yes.
and not just the skills you learned in graphic design, but the life skills you learned.
That is harder to learn, but as far as doing anything, this is a note for anyone listening. You can do anything.
Hmm.
There's no excuse not to do what you want to do with YouTube and Google. Um, because even in COVID, in downtime, I use the downtime to brush up on skills to make myself better.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Well, what's your opinion on social media and content creation
as far as what
as far as a career, as far as how there's influencers and people are using it like that?
that's great. I mean, we live in a world. Uh, Once it's authentic and real,
Hmm.
and the energy and the vibe and whatever you're doing, I'm all for that. There's
Yeah.
a lot of fake, like in everything, but just, just you know, choose. What people don't understand is that everything we take in is affecting us. The shows we watch, the social media we follow, the foods we eat, the people we hang with. Just be careful of negative energies around you. And if it's not like my social media, I don't, I follow foods. I learned, I just learned a new way to take edamame and cocoa powder and stuff to make a protein mixture with low fat. And you can learn a lot of stuff. It's like,
Yes.
Oh, I love
Yes.
YouTube for
right.
that.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
use it like a tool. Don't use it to distract you and then, or to keep you in fear.
Yes. Don't let it entrap you
Yeah.
where you're
Yeah.
just doom
Yeah.
scrolling but use it as a tool to
Yeah.
learn.
Or think, don't use your followers and your likes like a currency in the sense of you can't have a conversation with people in Publix or Sprouts or wherever. And you're so, Chuck D said it once. It's called a cell phone because it entraps people in a cell.
Mm.
I mean, it's a rap line, but it's
Hmm.
real where some people, social media has opened up and connected people, but also made us go more inward where we can't even look at people in their eyes and talk and anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it, like everything, I don't want to start talking about gun control or anything, but it can help save a life or it can take a life. How you use it
Yes.
is what's
It's a
important.
tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
It can be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also what you said, authenticity is key. And don't do things for likes.
Yeah,
Don't do things for followers.
yeah,
Put whatever you're creating out there, and whoever it's meant for
and
is who it will
don't put
resonate
out a
with.
fake. I'll use myself. I'm the best gym influence. If Stop being fake.
Yeah.
The same person I am right now is the same person I'm with my girl. The same person
Hmm.
I'm at work. Just be real.
Yeah.
Just
Be real.
Yeah.
Are there any like mentors you've listened to or
Tony Robbins is the man that made me change my life, and I'll always go back to.
okay, so when did you start listening to Tony
I had
Robbins?
his box CD set in Trinidad,
Mm,
and he made me realize if I'm not happy, why am I not doing what I should be doing? And I go, I'll move it to America.
wow. Wow. So
That's pretty cool. So you saw his videos and were listening to him
Yeah,
in
I had to
Trinidad,
say that. Yeah.
and he was a magnet for you to come
Yes.
here.
Yes. No doubt. Yes.
That's awesome.
Tony Robbins.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
and do you still continue to listen to him?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love Tony.
you get inspiration from
Yeah, I
him.
love Tony.
He's
You know,
incredibly
he kind of lives near you.
No, I-
He's not too far from you. He's up here in forget the name of the town. I know someone who's done some work at his house.
See?
It's supposed to be phenomenal, like just crazy,
I didn't know
palatial.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
And he's-
You might run into him in Sprouts.
Yeah.
I don't go to Sprouts. my
Or
girl
one
does.
of his people who's shopping in Sprouts for him.
Yeah. Well, he's an incredibly positive person.
Yeah.
And inspirational speaker. So how cool is that? Because how many years have you been listening to him now? Would you say?
At least 20 years.
Yeah.
This
And
is
that,
way before 2004 when I came to America, so it was before that,
yeah.
probably 1990 something.
What's the draw? What resonated for you that really attracted you to him and his message?
His direct, no bullshit, straight. What are you doing? Why are you not doing it?
Yeah,
And why are you waiting to do it? Type,
yeah,
you know. And that's my whole life now. Why the two biggest crimes is thinking you have time and
Mhm.
wasting time.
yeah,
Mhm.
And I know that pretty well. That's why coming back, I organize my time. If I want to get this done, I need to find a way to get it done. And I value my time because as you get older,
yeah.
it's not coming back.
That's
No,
so true.
you-
Well, and you hit a point. At least I can speak for myself. When I turned 50, I realized if I'm going to do something, I need to do it.
Yes,
Like this is it.
yes.
And so, and actually, this podcast is one of those things.
I'm
You know,
honored to be here.
no, we're so happy to have you.
oh,
But
we're
I,
honored to have you.
absolutely. But it's one. It is that you need to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because what are you waiting for?
People think, and I'll use the gym or anything. I want to do this, but I don't have the right sneakers. I don't have the right
Yes.
shoes.
Yes.
You know, the gym. Stop making excuses.
Yeah.
And just start.
It's so true.
You will not do 100 push-ups until you start doing one push-up.
So true.
Yeah,
It's so true. So, what advice would you give to Gen Z? That's the younger generation that's in their 20s and they're entering into the corporate world or they're entering into their jobs and they might be getting a little disillusioned by what they're encountering, whether it's the daily grind, whether it's the is this all there is? Like we go to work, we come home, we go to sleep, and we wake up. What advice would you give, or what inspiration would you give to them as far as helping them find some meaning into all of it?
I'm not sure if I can help them find meaning, but understanding that we all are, have a greater purpose in life. And if you have a job that you're not 100% happy with, don't ever stop working on yourself. Find out what it is that makes you happy. Use your job as a tool to get the money to do the things that you want. Don't just quit and go home and still be depressed or worried or what am I doing? Go through the grind. The grind will make you stronger. You might learn a new skill and use that to find out what it is you really, like doing and then start doing it. We live in an age and time where anything is possible. Social media, the information is there, it's on the internet. Why are you not doing it? Do your job and use your downtime to get closer to what it is you really want to do.
Yeah, and I think that by doing that, they'll just be less discouraged as
Yeah.
a process and find their meaning,
Yeah.
but stay in action.
Yeah. I don't think anyone, as far as, and I'm not Gen Z, but you don't find your perfect job the first few times anyhow.
Mhm.
So you have to go through a time, but never stop working on yourself. Um, Read more books, learn about stuff. A lot of stuff that I do now, I knew I wanted to do it earlier. I think finding out earlier what you want will only help you be better at what it is.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Uh, what would you say besides being inspired by Tony Robbins? Was there anything else that fed your drive to continue to grow and improve and strive for your goals and dreams through all these years? And as you encountered ups and downs, was there anything else that kept you going?
I listen to a lot of Sam Harris,
Oh, I've never heard of Sam Harris.
Christopher Hitchens, and a bunch of people.
Okay.
Sam Harris is a neuroscientist, and he talks about self. There is no self. If you're always growing and your body's always changing and you're always having new foods and new experiences, what is self? Self is always growing. And he just opens up your mind to think differently about it's called Waking Up, Sam Harris, and it makes you think differently. Um, I'm happy every day I wake up. And I tell myself one of my mantras is bigger, better, stronger. In everything I do, I'm going to get bigger, better, and stronger. Stronger doesn't have to be about weights, it could be stronger mentality. Um, and just open up. I rebuild myself every day. Every day is a new waking up to a greater day where the next choice you make can change your life. I've gotten job opportunities on the Stairmaster. All it takes is a simple hello or a simple just know that life has so much more. Um, and I listen to stuff like that, uh, because I think there's so much more I still have to do.
Yeah, and it's almost
Mhm.
like we are constantly in fluid motion.
Yeah, I have so much more to do. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but even when I get it done, I don't even have time to think about how I just move on to the next thing.
Well, and I think that's a great message for the younger generations because I think they think once you hit 50, life starts to be
Ah,
over. And it's
Uh,
hard to explain
I'm go-
that. No.
I'm gonna be 52. Let's hear the comments. I'm gonna be 52 in July, and I think I I mentally, physically, I think I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, if I could do it, anyone could do it.
Well, and you can start something new at any age.
Yeah,
And life doesn't end until it ends. And I think Gen X is one of the first generations that we are continuing to tackle life and challenge ourselves and search for new experiences even more so in this second half of our life. Whereas generations before us would kind of be like, oh, I'm going to go sit in the chair
right,
on the porch or watch
right.
TV and not continue to challenge myself. I think our generation is like, no, like we're going to continue to go for it until we're
On this
done.
podcast happening right now is that
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
exactly.
And I think we're a good example for the younger generations is once you hit 50, that's not like an end of anything.
No,
It's just another
I'm
phase
ready
of
to
it.
go. I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, because some of them think 30 is old, and it's like, oh,
I remember when I was younger and your uncles or older people, 30, 40 is like,
yes.
Yeah.
I'll never get that age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was too
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. And now I think they see 50 and it's like, no, no, no. Like
Aw.
we're all still able to just continue. But
Jokingly, they call me, come on, Grandpa, let's go in the gym. And I go, okay, watch this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So do you see your brothers regularly at all?
One's in Cambodia as a teacher,
Oh, wow.
and the other one lives in Canada. He's the studio drummer.
Okay.
Do I see them? No. I see them on WhatsApp when we FaceTime
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the time.
That's the beautiful thing about
yes.
that, right?
Yes.
So what's
It's
he
free.
teaching? Yeah. What's he teaching in Cambodia?
Same elementary school thing.
That's wonderful. How
He
long
sends
has he
me
been
video.
over there?
2 years right now.
And he
I
likes
think he's
it.
extending his visa. He loves it.
Wow.
He loves it.
That's
The unconditional
wonderful.
love from kids. And he's imagine someone looking like me in Cambodia. People look at him. So he likes that too. The
Does he
attention.
do they want to take pictures with him and stuff?
Does he doesn't
He works
does he
out too,
stand
so
out? He stands out?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He
That's
says, and I don't want to down cry anybody, but he says a lot of the men are not masculine,
mm,
at least where he is. So it stands out. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
And then your brother's a session drummer, so does he play with anyone famous?
He just played with some famous band. I'm not sure because I don't follow that. He plays like the soca, calypso,
Okay.
and I'm more into the rock music. I
Yeah.
love what he does, but I don't know any of those music.
Now, do they go back to Trinidad ever?
No. My
What-
mom is in Trinidad
When was the last time you were all together?
10 years ago in Trinidad.
Was that for like a holiday?
Yes.
Wow.
But yeah, that was way before COVID. But since then,
And did your mom come here?
no. My mom says until I make a kid, she's not coming here.
Uh,
I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but that's what she said.
Now, have your
She's like,
brothers?
I'm not getting on a plane. She doesn't want to get on a plane unless I have a
Okay.
kid.
Okay. Have your brothers had children?
No,
So she's waiting.
Yeah. she's going to wait.
Now, before I ask my last question, do you have any other?
I do. I have a
Okay.
question.
Sure.
With all the learning you do and all the YouTubing, have you gotten into AI stuff at all?
As far as
Just like learning how to leverage AI to maybe do some graphic design or
it
create
hasn't
music.
it hasn't gotten to the place where it can take my job yet. But I have used AI for like personal stuff to figure out diets, figure out
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff, grocery lists, everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've AI.
Like a personal assistant.
yeah, you either start using it and learning it, or
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's something the younger generation should definitely start learning.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AI is going to be a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Are you done?
I think so. I think you got my question earlier about what advice would he give to folks, and I just find you to be incredibly inspirational. I would
100%.
assume if for listeners as well. I mean, you have an incredible story. I think your positive attitude is awesome, and it's
I
just
left out a lot of stories, but
it's really cool. I think one of perseverance, your coming here. I think it's fascinating to come to America not really knowing anybody. I don't think you knew anybody and making it happen. And I think that's just cool.
It's the American dream.
Yeah,
it
it's
is the American
exciting.
dream.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And in 2008, when things went to the slight depression, and again I lost everything, I called my friend in New York, and he says, "Marlon, I'm shoveling snow on top of a building right now. You're in Florida. What are you complaining about?"
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I go, "Why are people talk?" But and I realize, look within and gain strength, um, and knowledge on stuff because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
It's so true. I just remembered I didn't ask you, what is the food in Trinidad?
Everything is so good.
Is there any like
You
what?
can't be healthy in Trinidad. It's so many different people
Mhm.
and so many mixed up different people. There's things called roti and there's pilau and there's doubles and there's all these different types of food where you just want to eat.
Just eat everything.
Yeah, you just want to. The Chinese have a different type of Chinese. There's a Trinidad Chinese food. It's everything's just crazy. It's so good.
Wow. So you kind of have a mix of from different
Yes,
influences.
it's
Well,
Spanish.
look it up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. Can you cook it?
My mom sent me a book. It's called the Naparima's Girls High School Cookbook, which shows you how to make everything, but you need the right ingredients to make
Yeah.
it taste like the real thing, which is harder to get.
Yeah, because I doubt, is there any grocery stores here that sell?
There are, but there's one in. There's not really.
Yeah.
They sell some of the stuff, but you need everything.
Yeah.
is there I don't know if I'll say this right, a Trinidadian community here at all? Like, there's Venezuelan, there's Cuban.
I know in Miami they have like a Trinidad Carnival where Trinidad artists comes
Hmm.
from Trinidad and they have like a Trinidad Carnival and they
Yeah.
do stuff. The problem with me and that is that when I worked for the newspaper, I was always the news person in Carnival, so I don't really dig Carnival anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
working.
Yeah.
you're,
So
you're
they
like,
do-
I've done that. Yeah.
They do have that in Trinidad. It's Carnival, right?
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
3 days of Carnival where the
Yeah.
whole country, it's a party. The whole country,
Yeah.
the streets, the whole country, black, white, robbers, thieves, nobody, everyone's just happy, just Carnival.
What time of year is that usually?
February,
Okay.
right before Ash Wednesday.
So it's like Mardi Gras.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
Right. It's
I
like,
think it's
Yeah.
all related.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in Brazil,
yeah.
yeah,
the
they do
Rio,
the same
right.
thing.
Yeah.
You good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. So my last question is always, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully still alive. I'll put this out into the universe. My dream is to have a warehouse where me and my girl can help people. I want to have a free gym, a free stage with instruments, a free studio, free graphics. She does therapy. We save animals. We help people. We give them dogs. We help rescue dogs so that they're not killed. And I help do creative stuff for people. And I help bands charge $5 or whatever. I help promote and I want to be Professor X for a bunch of X-Men.
That's amazing.
That's what I want to do.
That's amazing.
That's,
is
That's the
wonderful.
dream.
That-
So what we need is some wealthy listeners
Yeah,
to fund
to
this.
fund
And
that.
I'm
That's what I
not
wanna
even
do.
kidding. Really, there's a lot of wealthy people out there. This is worth funding, right?
That's it. And I
Yeah.
want to get a bunch of great people to work and come together. I think we could only do more and better work. So, yeah,
You want to do all the good things.
I want to bring smiles on people's faces,
Hmm.
and that could be from creative stuff, and that's what I like to do.
That's amazing. That's might be one of the best answers we've gotten to that
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
honestly.
That's the dream.
So I'm thrilled you put that out into the universe.
Yeah.
You know,
Not
gotta
a
put
lot of
that
people
out.
don't know that, and my girl knows that because we talk about it, and she could do therapy, and we could rescue dogs and we give people who want dogs and we could help the
Mhm.
dogs, cats, whatever. But it's all about helping.
Yeah.
It's all about helping.
It's amazing. Well, you never know where this children's book might go. The children's book might be able to fund it.
Probably.
Depending on what
Now
happens
you're putting
there.
that back on me to get it done.
Yeah.
Which is great. Which is great. Which is great.
You'll find the time.
Which is great.
You'll
Just get
figure
up
it
at
out.
3 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Shift it a bit.
I'll show you something later.
Yeah.
I'll show you people inspiring me, and showing me you can always do more, and that's what I live for.
Yeah.
That's so inspiring.
If I'm not doing stuff that is scary or out of my comfort zone, I'll say this to end it off. I'm not sure if you can stop brain cells from dying, but I'm sure to hell slowing that down,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that I'm sure of.
Well, there's a theory. The older you get, the more uncomfortable you should make yourself.
I honestly believe that.
You know.
I cannot play drums. My hand and feet don't listen, but I'm forcing myself to learn to play drums.
Yeah.
Only because I've played with drummers and I go, I could do that. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to be better than anybody, but once I get an itch, it needs to be scratched.
Mm-hmm.
And I love being uncomfortable, and I love people going, what?
Yeah. Surprising people.
Yeah, what?
But I think cognitively, it helps
Mhm.
so much too, because you're challenging your brain to do these.
I
new
hope I came
things.
across as semi-intelligent on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Not that I really care what people, but honestly, yeah, challenge yourself. Never be complacent. Be happy, and if you're not, figure it out. Figure out what makes you happy. And
Mhm.
happiness is not a destination.
Yeah.
It is the journey to get there, and then keep moving.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's a perfect way to end this. I have so many. I can't wait to watch this back, because I think this is an episode that people will probably listen to more than once. But I can't thank you enough for coming here and sharing such amazing inspiration with
I'm
our
getting
listeners.
goosebumps because I tell people life is surprises. The ones you like and the ones you didn't expect.
Yeah.
This podcast I never expected. I'm honored and privileged, and this is awesome. This is great. I'm happy that you like it.
Oh, we're
I
we're
love it.
thrilled. We're
It's
thrilled.
awesome.
We're honored that you shared your story,
Yeah.
that you shared your inspiration with us and with our listeners. It's a gift. And so we're so grateful that you brought it here today for us. So
I'm just thankful.
thank
you guys.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
I
guys.
feel like we could do another 2 hours and hear
Yeah.
more
it was
stories.
2 hours. Yeah. It
Yeah. And
felt
hear
like
more
20
stories.
minutes to me.
You know, and we would love to have you back on.
Anytime.
We definitely would.
Anytime.
And whether
Trust
it's,
me, I left out a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of stories.
we'll have to do a Marlon part 2
Yeah,
and
no
call
kidding.
it the stories.
Let's see what people think if I should come back on.
Oh, I think so.
We
I
could
think
mark it
so.
as explicit, and we'll
I
warn
have a lot
everybody.
of stories. Yeah.
No, that would be cool. Marlon, the stories.
Yeah.
The stories episode. But again, thank you for coming
Thank
on
you.
and
Yeah,
No,
sharing.
Thank you guys, both
And
of you.
I know what a lot of what you had to say and share will resonate with people, and probably help some people feel seen, not feel so alone, and inspire people to maybe take a positive step in their lives that can completely change the trajectory of their lives. And so you certainly, I know you said your 5-year goal is to create this amazing positive place to give back, but you gave back just in this podcast. So
I'm
to
hoping, like you
people.
said, if it touches one person, that's when I create anything, my book or music. If
Mhm.
it touches one person, that's all we can ask for. If it touches more,
Yep.
that's great. But be authentic and be true. Be hungry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, and I think authenticity was a common theme here, and people need to talk about authenticity more,
Yeah.
because if you are your authentic self, things will come.
Stop hiding behind your phones and hiding behind Faust, a great philosopher. You can look him up. Said if you could be true to the people around you, you would see how true people are your friends. If I told you I didn't like what you did or whatever, and I'm fearful that you're going to stop being my friends because I tell you the truth, then we're not really friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Be true.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. By being true, you
Yeah.
create a true life around you.
Yeah,
That's
and I
basically what you're saying.
yeah, and I
Li-
hope I came across
100%.
I
100%.
never expected this to happen, and when it was presented to me, I was like, "What? This is crazy. This is I'm very happy to be here."
Oh, we're so happy it was an enjoyable
Yeah.
experience for you because there aren't words right now. I know Brian and I are going to talk about it later just to take it in, but what an amazing experience for us.
Yeah.
And we're just, again, so privileged and honored that you came on as a guest to
Thank you
share.
guys very
So
much.
Yeah, I
thank
totally
you.
agree.
And for our listeners, please share any comments or questions or anything you would like to share related to this episode. I know you are just finishing listening to it and have thoroughly enjoyed it. So we'd love to hear from you. And we will be having Marlon back in the future.
Let's go.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.